In a world where people weren't sure what to do, how to behave, and where to turn for fact-based information, Rev Deuce traveled the land, telling everyone about the lies of the Christian nationalists, telling everyone about the real conspiracy to destroy the American democracy and replace it with Christian nationalist theocracy. And in so doing, Rev Deuce saved the nation from disinformation.
Yes, and...
Of joy. How's everybody doing today? Rev Deuce isn't even technically in the tub, and we also are featuring the biggest hair the program has ever seen today. So that is very exciting. Lots of things that are exciting. An exciting weekend we had Mother's Day. We're so excited for everyone who's a mother who had Mother's Day. And if you've lost your mother, we are grateful that you are with us and that you can be in this community of support where we can support you in the face of having lost a loved one. And if you are newly going to be a mother or any other situation that involves motherdom, we say good morning and welcome to you today. You know, mothers are some of the greatest supporters that have ever existed. Mothers are out there every single day supporting their children, unless they're not able to. And we support those mothers who are not able to because, look, everybody deserves to achieve. Good morning, bathrobe guy. You know, what do we want in this world? Do we want to support mothers or do we want to not support mothers? Do we want to support all mothers? Or do we only want to support select mothers that we approve of and that we think are doing the right thing in society? You know what I mean? I think we want to support everybody all the time, no matter who they are. And I'll tell you what, even though this is a secular religion that has nothing to do with Jesus, I'd say that's the most Jesus way we could be, isn't it? Yes, and so we're so grateful to have you all here today with us for yet another week. In the Mega Church of Joy, we've changed the slogan. It is now Reject Lies, Worship Facts. We are trying to codify it all. Gary Sorensen, welcome. DEO, welcome. Come on in. Come on in. The water's fine. Suzette Jensen, we are here to worship facts and reject the lies that are meant to divide us, and that division keeps us from joy. And so since we are the secular Mega Church of Joy, we are all about keeping it real and talking about what's going on in the world, pushing back against the hate and lies and manipulation and division that is being created for us by the global authoritarians and oligarchs who want to divide us and keep us all from achieving class consciousness. Because it does not have to be this way. It does not have to be this way. So today we will all be fact warriors. How will you be a fact warrior today? Well, you're already off to a great start. You are hanging out with your pal Deuce in the tub of joy. Yes, and then we got this young lady, and she looks cool too. She's spreading facts. So do we want to look cool and be like this person? Absolutely we do. Of course, this is a fake AI-generated person. Because at all times, you, friend, are in an information war, whether you realize it or not. At all times, a giant bald eagle is carrying your brain around the country while Vladimir Putin and Elon Musk and Steve Bannon attempt to destroy you. This is what Steve Bannon was up to this weekend. He was not celebrating a single mother. Instead, he was flooding everyone's zone with shit like the jerk he is, a scared little boy that he is. Now, David, I'm going to need you to tell everybody to bring people in here. We all got to get in here because this is the best program on earth. So if you are watching on Substack and you want to go to twitch.tv/Public Enlightenment, we would be so grateful if you watched and followed over there. We are trying to raise our profile over there. And so without further ado, let's get into the Daily Dose, and then we can start going through the news with Deuce. Again, we are all about rejecting lies and worshiping facts here because if we don't, we're screwed. If we don't reject lies and worship facts starting today, wherever you are, if we don't build up a reverence for fact-based information, for local journalism, which is the bedrock of democracy, if we don't understand that these are the things that we need to do, well, guess what? You are on the understanding train. Yes, I guess there's a train going through the ocean, and Rev Deuce is on it, and we are here going along the ocean on the train of enlightenment, of understanding, of context, that we all need to understand the news because it's wacky bobacky out there. And if you don't understand that Christian nationalism is what is destroying this country, well, guess what? You're ready to understand. The real conspiracy, in fact, everybody out there, especially our MAGA friends and loved ones, the real conspiracy is the Christian nationalist billionaires who now are siding with the techno-fascist billionaires. And also, we have a mainstream corporate media that normalizes extremism, that presents an asymmetric, a false equivalency. It presents a symmetrical portrayal of asymmetric conditions. You have a traditional flawed party, one that wasn't so fortunate as to develop a massive manipulation organization, although the manipulation right-wing disinformation complex will tell you that somehow the capitalists of the mainstream media are all liberals who are in league with the MSDNC and all that nonsense, and that's nonsense. And if you don't know why it's nonsense, ask your pal Deuce and he'll tell you all about it. So let's read the Daily Dose. It's a little prayer we say to each other so that we can start our day off super A-OK great. And it goes like this. Self, today I endeavor to be a better teammate than yesterday. I vow to keep it simple, to listen better, to commit harder, and to give more expertly. It is my joyous burden to make those around me appear as rock stars and support the ideas of others. I will move past obstructions, drop insecurities, and put trust in myself and others. I will attempt to emotionally connect with whomever I meet. I say this in the spirit of best intentions. Yes, and. That's right, folks. You heard it. We worship facts here. We don't mess around. No dilly, no dally. For there came a time when facts were hard to come by, when contextual information told to people in the public interest was a rarity in this world. And lo, the humans walked through the path of life, not knowing where to turn to find fact-based information they could rely on, until they stumbled into the Mega Church of Joy. That's right, a spiritual pursuit that focuses on rejecting lies and rejecting hate and rejecting division and worshiping and embracing facts, understanding that lies are born of fear and fear is nothing but a giant dickhead meant to keep us from living our most connected and best lives. Yes, and. So that's the deal here. So let's get into it. As a reminder, this program is brought to you by Grass Milk. Grass milk sour. We'll never truly know what grass milk means, and that's okay. All right, let's get into it, everybody. Let's get right into the news. We talk about our information ecosystem here because that's all we are. You know, some say that we are the youth of a nation. I don't know who that was. We are the youth of the nation. We are. Okay, look, early call from David. Here he comes. Hold on, David. You know what I didn't do? I did not get... Oh, don't look at that. Okay, cool. That was great. Don't want to share people's personal information or phone numbers. And maybe I did a little bit, but that was my mistake, and you'll all support me. And also, there's only like 5 people watching this show right now, so I think we're all okay. David, you're okay to call in at any time. At any time. We are. So David's going to use Blue Sky more this week, and we want to find out what the hell he means by that. David, welcome into the program. How are you today? I love you.
I'm doing very good. I just woke up, so still a little groggy, but I'm feeling good.
Hell yeah, baby. Did you go to bed late or did you wake up late?
I went to bed late.
Okay, what were you doing?
Not much. Just it was Mother's Day, so I was hanging out with my wife, who's the mother of my children, whom I love very much, supporting her and doing my best to ask her what she was wanting to do all day, and then doing that. I know it can be annoying, if you're trying to have a good time and somebody's just like, well, what do you want to do? Well, what do you want to do? Well, what do you want to do? Because you have to make a lot of decisions then, and it's a mental load. But I appreciate her supporting me and my support of her.
It sounds like you were in a classic situation where even during your support, you still were a burden.
Yeah, I worry that constantly.
No, he wasn't.
The classic male problem of not being able to get it together, us males. Hilarious.
Yes.
All right, well, and Madison, you're there in the background.
Oh, yeah, always. We're on the porch together.
On the porch
We
together.
attend church religiously.
Through thick and thin. So, David, you said that you are going to, and Madison, we hope that you had a lovely Mother's Day.
Thank you, I did.
That's so beautiful. And so, David, what do you mean you're going to use Blue Sky more this week? Tell everybody about the good news. Tell everybody to rejoice in the good news of David using Blue Sky.
Right. So there was an article last week, or that I was reading last week, about the college student who the court ordered to be released. The young lady who was taken off the street by plainclothes officers and with her job for writing that op-ed.
Oh, she's going to be released?
Not going to be released. She was ordered to be released. And there's a couple people in the comments who felt a sentiment that, the administration isn't going to listen to this, yada, yada. So I replied to those people and let them know that in the article, it does say she was released hours later. And then I went on to make a couple other points about, the judge and the words that he said, or the deputy chief of staff and what they said. And of the people that I replied to in that article, nobody addressed the fact that it seems that they didn't read it. They just went on to the other points that I made from the article. They just completely overdid that. But it was cool because I asked one of them to follow me, and they did. And so when I posted this morning about your link and that I'm here 9 to 11 a.m., attending church, hopefully being more active will just kind of help that get seen. I don't know.
Well, I'm so appreciative and grateful for you, David, and that's beautiful, and I'm so grateful for that. But what I'm hearing is that, also that Blue Sky feels like a space where when you do talk to other people and you do try to spread fact-based information, it feels maybe a little more positive in the sense that when we're on like Twitter, which we should not be, get off Twitter now and get a Blue Sky account, or other sites, we're not really sure, if anybody's even real or, what the deal is. There's a lot of engagement that is like also just dramatic and sensationalized, because I think that many of our fellow Americans and human beings are it's almost like we're being trained. They say AI is being trained on the internet, but we're being trained, right, by the disinformers and by the manipulation agents to start talking a certain way and acting a certain way with each other and engaging with each other in a certain way. So I think that it's cool because I think when we're on Blue Sky, we're not really flapping our gums. We're talking to real human beings, and I think that that's really cool.
Yeah, it is really cool. I was those conversations were long. It's a little bit hard to follow on Blue Sky because of how the replies work and clicking on them and seeing all of them. So the individuals would send 3 replies to my one comment, and then I would only see one. And so it took a little bit of working out, but they were interesting people to talk to. I'm very thankful for them responding to me.
Yeah, the other thing about Blue Sky that's a little interesting is that Blue Sky it's not. I think it's it's like what social media would be if they didn't have to make money, right? Because so far it doesn't seem like it's making money. It's not really ad based even or anything. And so the algorithm, you could post something and it does not get a lot of engagement. And even if you post something that quote unquote does do well, it doesn't fly all over the place. So I think it's a pretty natural place to be.
I agree. I've been enjoying it.
Well, beautiful, David. Is there anything else you'd like to share with us today?
I just want to say thank you for the list, man. They're very helpful for finding the information not information that I'm looking for, but just finding the information that's out there.
Hell yeah. Thank you, David. We're going to show everybody these lists right now. Oh, this is my other account. That's me.
All right, well, I'll bounce off. Love you, Rev. Thank you so much.
All right, love you, David. Welcome in John A. and Michelle Gardner and Michael Harris and John Paul. John Paul, look, you've been replaced. Pope Leo is in the house. John Paul, you're up there in heaven thinking, what's going on? Now, here we go. By the way, this is not a Christian religion that you're watching. Now, okay, here we go. These are the lists that David is referring to, and David is referring to these lists that Rev Deuce has created so that you can get all the context you need for the news in 20 minutes a day. That's right. Science has proven that you can get all the news you need in 20 minutes a day. And if you've heard me say this before, well, guess what? You're a fact warrior and you're excited to hear it for the 300th time. So we've got fact checkers, diverse opinion, historians, legal experts, and the news, media critics, political science, and disinfo experts. You can go to the profile of Public Enlightenment at publicenlightenment.com on Blue Sky. You can find these lists over here where my cursor is up in that corner, but it just lives over here on the right. And you find these lists and you click on them and you get national news with a bias towards democracy, context, facts, plus Aaron Rupar's window into what MAGA American is being fed. And sometimes there's disinfo there, so be warned. And spread fact-based info as always. You're not going to agree with everyone on this list, but that's the point. Let's restore respectable discourse rooted in fact. How about that? How's that sound for everybody? And how does Rev Deuce sound? Sometimes Rev Deuce has audio problems and it makes him sad. But here he is talking to you nonetheless. So let's get on to the news because is the 20 minutes to get all the news you need proven by the board certified? Yes, the board the National Institute for Information Nutrition, NIN, the National Institute for Information Nutrition, NIN, has done the tests, and they have shown that you can get all the context you need for the news in just 20 minutes using Rev Deuce's lists over here. I mean, look, let's just take a look. Let's just take a little peek, okay? We'll go to diverse opinion. We've got Justin Baragona reposting the something. John Oliver trashes Trump's creepy and very weird comments on girls and dolls. Every single way this man refers to girls makes my skin want to turn inside out, John Oliver said last night. Beautiful baby girls aged 11 through 15 and how many dolls they need. Gross. Jen Bendry saying, morning, in case you missed it, she got a copy of an internal list of dozens of books that have been banned in DOD's K through 12 schools. They serve 67,000 kids on military bases due to Trump's anti-DEI orders. Lots of award-winning books now gone. So the party told you not to pay attention to the evidence of your eyes and your ears, and that was their most important, essential, and final order, and that is what is happening. Fahrenheit 451, the books are being burnt, the propaganda is flowing, and we are in a fascist dystopia, even though when we walk outside it seems pretty normal for now. So let's get into this news, because Rev Deuce has some hot stuff today, let me tell you. So this is not an exaggeration. So this is about Britain, but this is a point about media effects, right? What we talk about all the time here is information is everything. And so we worship facts here because why are we here? How did we get fascism in America? Why are things so crazy? Why are we so divided? Why has our mainstream corporate media written about polarization like in a brain dead way for the last multiple years? It's because information is everything. It's because mainstream corporate media has a de facto propaganda bias towards maintaining the status quo, being inoffensive, remaining neutral. But that doesn't work at a time when one extreme party is rising and denying elections and attempting coups and being the most corrupt people on the planet and having all these Christian nationalist billionaire apparatchiks in our government. It doesn't work to cover the news in a mainstream way where they just like treat everything as normal. That doesn't work. And so we talk about media effects at all times here because maybe some of us think it's too far to say that news and the information we consume has the ability to change our minds. Although studies have shown that if you bring people off of CNN, off of Fox for like a month and put them on CNN, they actually do change their views. But if you won't go that far with your old pal Rev Deuce can tell you right now, and you can readily agree. It's so easy to agree. It costs you nothing. You could agree with the understanding and reality that the news has everything to do with what we think about. The information that strangers tell us about the world has everything to do with what we think about. What do you think about that in the Substack chat? Can you get loud for me? Can I get a yes and? Okay, so look at this on the screen, okay? Public concern with immigration has historically tracked tabloid newspapers' coverage even more closely than it tracks actual immigration levels. So in the blue here, we've got percentage of Daily Mail print articles mentioning immigration. And then we've got the percentage of Britons saying immigration is one of the most important issues facing the UK. And look at that near one-to-one mapping. Now, we imagine that in the UK, there's also other people who are talking about this at the same time. It's not just the Daily Mail. But it is the information agents, the agents of people who want to spread this type of scare tactics, right? So Ewan says, the thing is, concern about immigration is directly proportional to how much media coverage is focused on immigration. So even assuming Labor reduce the absolute numbers by 2030, the only way that it will make voters happy is if the press decide it should. And that is absolutely accurate. If you knew more, if you answered questions about what was going on at our border, we're going to bring this up. Give Deuce 2 shakes of a lamb's tail, please. Thank you so much. We're going to go into Google Sheets. We're going to go into Google Sheets. We're going to go into here. No, that's not right. We're going to go not into Google Sheets. We're going to go to drive.google.com. We're going to move that. Don't look at that. We're going to get in here. We're going to go into here. We're going to go into here. We're going to go into here. And then we're going to go into here. And then we're going to click on here. And then we're going to click on over here. This was the best song that you've ever heard. Boom. Got it. So we just made a video that we would love for you to share with people about this. But so look at the screen now, everybody. Where's the one on immigration? Violent crime, inflation, unauthorized border crossings. Here we go. So in October of 2024, over the last few months, unauthorized border crossings at the U.S.-Mexico border are at or near lowest level in the last few years. That was true. And if you knew that, you overwhelmingly voted for Kamala Harris. Okay, do you see what's going on here? Now, but what was happening in our media at that time? Well, sure, there were some people who were paying attention to lots of news, and they knew that. They also knew that the Republican Party was a party of extremism and lying. But in general, Ronald Dump, I almost called him, Donald Trump was saying that it was all at historic highs, that we were having an invasion, which he says now as well, right? You know, same thing with every single other GOP politician and every single GOP pundit and every single Tenet Media Russian paid pundit, right? They're all harping the same tune. They're all playing the same tune. And then that is carried into our mainstream media. And so it becomes people's obsession with a quote unquote invasion at the border when there is not one. Do you know what I mean? So that's how the sausage is made. So we wanted to show people this important, perspective on media effects. Let's keep going through the news. Now, hold on. Should I give you all that? Yeah, I should give you all that. You should all be fact warriors about this one. So let me go and grab that. And I'm going to drop that into the chat. And guess what you're going to do? You are going to go and be a fact warrior. Yeah. Fact warriors about this one. So let me go and grab that. Oh. And I'm going to excuse the Hall of Mirrors. Here we go. Let me drop that in there for you. My little Mon Petit. What is it? Mon Petit Chow? What is that? Mon Petit Chou? Now, look, get on in here. Keep coming in here, everybody. If you are new to the program, please give us a follow. We love you, and we want you to follow us so that you never miss a beat, you never miss a show, and you never miss all the cool stuff that we're doing. So we're talking about our information ecosystem, and you're going to go spread all that information that Rev Deuce just dropped in the chat because you are a fact warrior, because you reject lies and you worship facts. That's right. That's the dogma. I am your new cult leader. Forget Donald Trump, everybody. I am your new cult leader. MAGA, get on board. Get on this train, okay? Because Deuce is saving you. Deuce is saving you. One newspaper at a time. Rev Deuce is saving you. Look at that. This man, totally screwed up. Not sure where to turn. Believing that trans girls are the biggest problem in his life. Meanwhile, we're about to have so much more poverty in this country. Meanwhile, there's about to be so much more mercury in the air and the water. Meanwhile, our national parks are going to be destroyed and stripped for parts. Meanwhile, more people are going to die. Meanwhile, there's no cancer research being funded anymore. Meanwhile, more people are getting measles because we have total charlatans running our health organizations. And so we have to save everyone with facts-based information, don't we? So why don't you go into twitch.tv/Public Enlightenment and go give us a follow and watch over there. There's less of a delay than there is on Substack. But before you leave Substack to do that, why don't you give us a big subscribe-arino and a big follow Pepino? Thank you so much. That would be so great. So let's get back to it, everybody. What do we got here? Okay, this is a mainstream media critique, and we love that here. I'm sure the New York Times would be super blasé about this story if it were Joe Biden getting a plane. We love counterfactuals. David is one of the greatest people on earth. He said in the chat that he's saved by Rev. His information is tight. We also do believe David when he says that his life is feeling a little better with his relationship with fear in the Mega Church of Joy, where we work on that and human connection and how important human connection is. And so David is telling us that he's on that information diet that's making him information tight. Instead of that information diet that our friends, neighbors, and loved ones are on, that information diet of poo-poo caca that is, I'm producing this whole thing live. This music is so funny. But look at that. This MAGA is wearing the hat of division. They're sucking down disinfo, and Rev Deuce is providing them with facts. Yes, and. All right, let's keep going through the news. We're going to put as many of those things up. Betty Thomas, welcome into the program. We are worshiping facts and rejecting lies, and we are currently talking about the way, almost a form of lying, that our mainstream corporate commercialized system for informing the public, which is never going to be able to report in the public interest on par with a robust public media, which the world's healthiest democracies have, and we don't. But so this is the morning newsletter from the New York Times. So if you subscribe to the New York Times and you're like, I'm getting such high quality information, the thing about it is that the New York Times is a major normalization machine. And they have normalized Donald Trump all along the way, just in the same way that they sometimes make it seem like they're being really on top of it and really shutting it down and all this stuff. They're not. So this is really great commentary from Larry Glickman, a historian at Cornell University. He says, that I believe it was the United Arab Emirates. They are giving Donald Trump a $400 million plane. This is total corruption, unbelievable corruption. And he's talking about how irresponsible the New York Times coverage is. It says, it notes that ethics questions are only raised in the third and final bullet point, and even then they frame them from Trump's point of view, complaints from partisan losers. So this is not how you would convey information in a pro-democracy way. So screw these guys. It says President Trump could be about to receive a pretty big gift. That sentence alone, it should say President Trump could be about to engage in outright corruption. The Trump administration plans to accept a luxury Boeing 747 from the Qatari royal family for use as Air Force One. Okay? What if, Mexico or, Guatemala did this to President Biden? Trump's presidential library would get the plane when he leaves office, which would mean he can keep using it. A Qatari official said the proposal was still being discussed, and Trump called Democrats losers for raising ethics questions. I mean, this is just unbelievable from the New York Times. Although it's not unbelievable at all, it's par for the course from the New York Times. It's disgusting. Check this out, everybody. If you're inspired by how dumb that reporting was by the New York Times, I invite you to share this with your friends and loved ones who still believe that the New York Times is really great. This is a great piece by Jameson Fozer that breaks down, squeeze me a baking powder while I get back to where I want to be, that breaks down how the New York Times is really just a right-wing newsletter with recipes, yes and. So we are blowing the minds of people and we are informing them about their media diets. If you believe that that is worthwhile effort, please figure out every single way to support Rev Deuce. You've got a little Cash App and a Venmo right above his head. Oh my God, we've got wonderful perspective by our good friend Sean. He says, it reads like page 6. Guess which A-list politician might be getting a pretty big gift. Incredible. Yes, Sean, you're incredible. Please become the co-host of the program. Emmett's development will be buoyed by the big words we use together as we discuss it every single day. That is my good friend Sean Jeans, the greatest drummer on the planet. And he also has a fine melodic voice. And he's also Sean Knopfler, the greatest guitarist who's not named Mark Knopfler. His name is Sean Knopfler. Okay, now look, here we go. You know what we're gonna do now? I'm gonna show you my good pal Milo, co-founder of the Media and Democracy Project. He previewed this for us on Wednesday. Now we're gonna go through this and we're gonna get you to share this. This is from my organization. And it's all Milo's doing. We're really proud of Milo for putting this one together, that's for sure. So you are a fact warrior and you care about your information ecosystem because you recognize that we are not polarized because of the culture war bullshit ideas. I mean, we are, but you know, the way that our mainstream media has failed to convey what polarization means and why we are polarized over the last decade at least. It's because of the information ecosystem, damn it. It's because we have hundreds of think tanks that generate millions of cubic tons of bullshit every single day. We have people like Christopher Rufo who go out and tell the public, I am going to get the public to be manipulated about topics like CRT and topics like DEI. And then the mainstream media then just launders all that into the public without being like, and this is also a major influence operation. They just leave that part out. They literally don't describe reality to us. And in so doing, they destroy democracy just as much as the people who are truly trying to destroy democracy. So I want you to all look at this. This is an incredible piece. Milo worked really hard on this. Fourth Estate dereliction of duty. I mean, I would reframe this in a way that regular folks, I guess, would be readily receptive of. Milo, if you happen to see this, that's my critique. Fourth Estate dereliction of duty. Influential newspaper editors normalize President Trump's refusal to affirm his oath to defend the Constitution. A case study. I mean, this is reading like a white paper here. Now, if you are here, and we're so grateful, I think it's probably Jason who's tapping that heart button, but if you are here in the Substack, come on over to twitch.tv/Public Enlightenment. And if you don't want to do that, at least tap that heart button in the Substack. Now, Fourth Estate dereliction of duty. Let me zoom in as much as I can. That's good. Huge. New York Times, Washington Post, and Wall Street Journal editors did not make Trump's I don't know interview a front page story. Several local editors did give it prominence and did a better job. Okay, now look at this. This is May 5th. Donald Trump had said with Kristen Welker on Sunday, May 4th, I guess, he had said, she asked, don't you have enough duty to uphold the Constitution? And he said, I don't know. So I wonder what okay, yeah, great. So look at this. This is the front pages of the of the New York Times, the Washington Post. Let me see if I can click on this, and does that make it bigger? Not necessarily, but you can still get the gist. So New York Times had a little thing down here that said, read about this on a different page. Not worth putting on the front page that the President of the United States said he doesn't know if he needs to uphold the Constitution. Washington Post had nothing. And the Wall Street Journal similarly had a blurb. Does it matter that the blurb is higher? I don't really think so. And then now look at this. This is the Philadelphia Inquirer, top of the page. Not the best headline, but top of the page, giving it the importance. So this matters, right? We believe somehow that the place that our news originates, which is still newspapers, like it doesn't matter how they cover things. It doesn't matter how they signal what's important and what's not, but it does. And when you say, it's hard to say the opposite when we realize that we are in the horrible situation we are as a country. And that is because the people whose job it is to be our immune system are not sounding the alarm. They are not sending the antibodies of major headlines out amongst the public. They are not saying this is a huge deal. And so therefore, we are not believing or understanding that it is a huge deal. And then that's also in the face of right-wing disinformation agents that are constantly saying an entirely different reality. But so the Philadelphia Inquirer says, I don't know about the oath. The Kennebec Journal, don't even know what that is, says Trump says he doesn't know if he's required to uphold the Constitution. Now, that's the best headline so far, right? The Santa Fe New Mexican says, President says, I don't know when asked if he has to uphold Constitution. There you go. Compare that to the most major outlets that we have. Okay. Did I already drop this? Yes, I dropped it. Kathy Johnson, Ann Phillips, get on in here. Talk to us. What do you have to say? Do you want to call into the program and talk about your media diet? We would love that. We're always looking for new sources of information, fact-based information that aligns with democracy. Yes, and yes, please. So on January 20th, Donald Trump said, I will do my best of my ability to preserve and protect and defend the Constitution. But then only 3 months later, when asked, he said, I don't know. Madison says she didn't even see this. And why would you when our major media isn't even covering it, right? When that's glossed over so that they can tell us about what Usha Vance wore to the Met Gala. That's not something that happened, but we're just making a reference to the fact that they talk about fashion just as much as they talk about fascism. Ooh, that's good. When they talk about fashion just as much as they talk about fascism, that's really good. Oh, I'm having an out-of-body experience as I write this in my notebook. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I'm getting too much sleep. Is there such a thing? Let me know, moms. Happy Mother's Day to everyone who celebrated. I guess everyone does. Unless their mom was a total POS. But look, that mom was doing the best she could with what she had, and it sounds like she probably didn't have much. And so, yes, and. On May 4th, blah, blah, blah. So this covers it. This covers what happened. So specifically, Madison, I was going to blah, blah, blah my way through it, but since you said you didn't hear about it, Donald Trump was interviewed by Kristen Welker on NBC's Meet the Press. In a startling and memorable exchange, the president refused to affirm whether he would enforce the law of the land of due process as codified in the Fifth Amendment. The president's refusal to clearly affirm his executive duty to uphold due process to protect citizens and non-citizens alike is a scandal. Now, what I would say to Milo... And then he says, in the second, even more infamous part of the interview, President Trump refused to answer another crucial question any president should answer with unambiguous clarity. Don't you need to uphold the Constitution? President Trump responded with an answer that should live in infamy. I don't know. In both action and word, Trump has made clear that he does not preserve, protect, or defend our constitutional right to due process as an obligation, nor does he acknowledge his duty to uphold the Constitution itself. And David, we are so strong in this chat. David is pointing out that the border czar calls him the most knowledgeable president ever. Ish, don't think so. A president refusing or unaware of his fundamental executive duties warrants front page coverage. Abso-friggin-lutely. So I guess this is what Milo used, the freedomforum.org library, to examine all front pages the day after. Freedomforum.org library. Let's check this out really quick. Freedom Forum. Oh, this is cool. We love this. Yes, exactly, Madison. And so how will you let them know? Kay Sandler, how will you let people know about this? How will you let people know about the President of the United States saying he doesn't know if he has to uphold the Constitution? The most corrupt individual in United States government history, more corrupt than Bob Menendez, more corrupt than, who was that guy? John Edwards, more corrupt than Howard Dean's corrupt mouth when he went, yeah! Sorry if that hurt your ears, but that ruined his presidential campaign. Literally, I just reenacted for you the noise that ruined someone's presidential campaign. It was just a noise. It actually wasn't corruption. It was just a noise. He went, yeah! And he was immediately stricken from the race for president, even though he was leading, because he went, yeah! Okay? Do we understand how ridiculous it is that Donald Trump is still the president when we used to live in a society where you could be removed from the presidential campaign because you went, yeah! In fact, in case people don't remember, here we go. We're just gonna do a quick juxtaposition. And it's also pronounced juxtaposition. We're not just gonna look up Howard University. We're gonna look up Howard Dean's Scream. Look at that. So look at this. When you type into DuckDuckGo Howard Dean, the first thing that comes up is Scream, then Yell. This has 0 views for NBC News. That doesn't make any sense. Let's do the whole thing. Here we go. YouTube.
You know something? You know something? If you had told us 1 year ago that we were going to come in third in Iowa, we would have given anything for that. And you know something? You know something? Not only are we going to New Hampshire, Tom Harkin, we're going to South Carolina and Oklahoma and Arizona and North Dakota and New Mexico. And we're going to California and Texas and New York. And we're going to South Dakota and Oregon and Washington and Michigan. And then we're going to Washington, D.C. to take back the White House. Ah! To take back the White House. Ah! House. Ah! 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 Ah!
Okay, so quite literally, that noise led to Howard Dean having to drop out of the race for president. Meanwhile, the president said over the last weekend, a week ago, that he did not believe he did not know if he had to uphold the Constitution. But that's A-okay. That's A-okay. It actually wasn't that bad of a sound. I remember it being somehow worse, but that's because it was turned into a media frenzy, right? In the week after Joe Biden's really terrible debate performance, the New York Times wrote 192 pieces about Joe Biden's fitness for office. This is real. Jennifer Schultz documented this. So what we know at all times is that our media has the ability to cover whatever they want with as much prominence and frequency as they want at any time. Okay? Oh, he made a little video. Now let's look at this. Oh, okay, look at this little video that Milo made. Hold on, it doesn't look good when I do it like that. All right, he's got a little video here. Oh, he made a scale. He made a scale here. So it's like front page, you get 1 point. If it's a strident headline, you get 1 point. If they say oath or constitution, you get 2 points. So New York Times, what grade do we get? Hey, Tom Brady's here. Quit deflating those footballs, Tom Brady. Tom Brady loves to check in on us on Substack. Tom Brady's probably pretty interested in the salacious gossip story that is in a lot of our media about Bill Belichick and his girlfriend. Meanwhile, we have fascism in America. So let's see. What did they say? You know, the Washington Post did cover it somewhere. They just didn't put it on the front page. They do get a grade of an F. So no front page coverage. It was on A2. It said, Trump says, I don't know, when asked if he's required to uphold Constitution. Why on earth would that not be on the front page? This is what was on the front page of the Wall Street Journal. It's a little blurb that says Trump said he was uncertain whether he had a duty to uphold the Constitution, and they believe that putting it in, 7-point font, the kind of font you read from a foot away at the doctor's office, the eye doctor. They said on page A4, okay, that means the fourth page. Trump says, I don't know, when asked if he must uphold the Constitution. Basically the exact same headline as the Washington Post. USA Today, they've got a little blurb down there. It says, I don't know, Trump on upholding Constitution. Read about it on page 2A, not on the front page. Associated Press got a 4 out of 5. They got a B, due process rights, they called it. Trump in a new interview. Of course, the Associated Press only has a digital presence. Local newspapers with A grades. Let's go through it. Let's check it out. This is worth our friggin' time. Are you kidding my daddy? So we have that Philly Inquirer one. It's at the top. They get an A. It doesn't know about the oath. The Kennebec Journal. Again, someone look that up for me. It looks like, in Portland debut. Looks like it's Maine. Trump says he doesn't know if he's required to uphold the Constitution. Allergies are so bad, y'all. I'm having trouble breathing today. After I went on a hike this weekend, I was laid out. President says, I don't know. Santa Fe, New Mexican front page. I don't know, when asked if he has to uphold the Constitution. I think that's pretty good. They got a 5 out of 5. But interestingly, the reporting that they did, this is what Milo's trying to convey with this thing he did. So the reporting that the Santa Fe, New Mexican did, right, where it says Associated Press on the bottom of the Kennebec Journal, that means that the reporting that they did in their story came from the Washington Post, or the Santa Fe, New Mexican, in parentheses you see Washington Post. Their reporting was reliant on the Washington Post reporting, but it's how did they frame it for their readers. So look at that, USA Today, which we often malign here, they got a grade of an A. Oh, that's the Citizen Times. Never mind. They relied on the USA Today's reporting for their article. Trump unsure on upholding the Constitution. That's from the Burlington Free Press. They relied on USA Today's. Local editors okay, so so local editors got the A. The mainstream New York Times, Washington Post, Wall Street Journal, they got not A's. They got F's. So the Los Angeles Times blew it. Trump unsure. They don't even say, he says, I don't know. Trump vague on the process, says the Chicago Tribune. Trump vague on due process. That's pretty weak. Dallas Morning News. That's where they put that. Says Trump unsure on due process. Then they have, I don't know. They put it in the subheading. Trump dodges on due process from the Boston Globe. That gets a C. They say he dodges. That implies some athleticism. Trump says he doesn't know if he backs due process rights. Arkansas Democrat Gazette, top of the page. Trump defers to his lawyers on due process. That doesn't really grasp what happened, does it? The Day, that's fun. Trump fuzzy on our rights. They get a C. Trump iffy on backing due process from Orlando Sentinel. That's pretty bullshit. That gets a C. Trump uncertain on who gets rights. That's kind of a C. Trump unsure on due process from the Capital Gazette. So we get the picture, and you can go and read that whole article, and we're so grateful for Milo for doing that. And we're going to restack that right now. We got an update. What's the update? Update on May 6th, the New York Times editorial board weighed in with a misdirection of the constitutional, choosing to focus on the less urgent issue of Trump running for a third term. It is stunning the editorial board would write this piece about a possible future threat without mentioning the clear and present danger of Trump's failure to accept his duty to uphold due process and the Constitution itself right now. Yes, yes, and. Good job, Milo. Way to go, dude. So this is dope. And so we restack it. And we say, excellent work. Well, we'll do a note later. I don't want to take time in the program right now. So we restack it. Boom. And what else do we do, everybody, if we're fact warriors? Stop it. We copy. We copy link. We go to Blue Sky. Blue sky, nothing but blue sky is all I see. Okay, I guess I'm doing this. I feel like I'm getting sick. Dang. Pointing out the failure of mainstream legacy press to do even the to warn the public of imminent dangers to democracy. Okay, that's pretty good. Boom. Boom. Will it away? Will my sickness away? Welcome everybody into the program. Are you a fact warrior? Are you going to go and repost that article? It is in the chat. If you need it again, come and find me. Also, you can join our Discord. I've yet to put in. Yep, I think I'm either getting sick or it's just very warm. We are losing viewers, and so now I have to put interesting things on the screen. So we worship facts here because guess what? Steve Bannon, he worships lies. Okay, think about it as like Darth Vader versus Luke Skywalker. We are all the Luke Skywalkers. Okay? And so we are in an information war and we have to be fact warriors at all times.
Fact warrior, fact warrior.
Because there is a coup going on right now in our country. And we need to care about it, I think. I don't know. You tell me. Do we need to care about it? Tell me in the chat if you think we need to give a shit about our country. I think we do. Call me crazy. I think we do. Am I crazy? I like the little fart noise that happens in the middle of that. I think that's pretty fun. Oh boy, I'm getting a headache, and I'm telling you all about it. I'm making my headache your headache. Yes, and. All right, let's keep going through the news with your old pal Rev Deuce. I think we're having a great time today, learning about how terrible everything is. Yes, and. Tom Brady, what did you think when Eli Manning hit that pass in Indianapolis in 2012 in the Super Bowl to Mario Manningham down the sidelines? I didn't think he had it in him, but he did, and it was incredible. Does anybody remember Mario Manningham? Of course you don't. I do. Yes, and. Now, let's keep going through the news with your old pal Deuce. This one we're going to move on. It's just about the fact that there are town halls and people are waking up, and you should. Zena Glazebrook, welcome into the program. We love you. We are so grateful that you are here. We are Fact Warriors. We wanted to show everybody this from John Barrasso, and we're really coming for mainstream media today because mainstream media has gotten us here by normalizing Donald Trump and the GOP and the MAGA extremism, the coups, the lies, the corruption. It's been going on for a decade now, and we are being let down. And so I used to focus on mainstream media a lot more. Now I think I need to focus on the dominant right-wing manipulation system. But but the scourge of the right of mainstream media is ever present. Now, what we're going to see in this is Kristen Welker. She's interviewing John Barrasso. I believe John Barrasso is an election liar. Let's find out. This is his habeas corpus comment that we're about to go over is getting lots of coverage. Sorry, sometimes it takes a little while to get to the truth, right? That's what we know here. The American people have seen through President... Okay, this is John Barrasso turning that language on its head. Okay, he won't denounce the big lie? Okay, election liar. Because the truth takes a little while. He's jackwagon. I don't know what that means, Jason. Jason said he's jackwagon. Is that like a spy and a spy thriller? When their luck runs out, they turn to jackwagon. Jackwagon is the Jackinator. Okay. All right, here we go. So look at this. So what we want to focus on is not the fact that Barrasso is just doing his talking points. Obviously, the Sunday shows are just places where politicians go to do their talking points. But what we want to focus on is look at the way Kristen Welker, we're going to watch this whole thing. It's 2 minutes and 20 seconds. Look at the way Kristen Welker ends this segment. So John Barrasso is basically saying, I am going to be okay with people being imprisoned without due process in this country. Habeas corpus, the suspension of habeas corpus, okay? And then look at how Kristen Welker ends the interview.
Thing that one of President Trump's top aides, Stephen Miller, said this week. He said the administration is actively looking at suspending habeas corpus. Just for our audience, that's the right to challenge a person's detention by the government. This would be a part of the broader efforts to speed up their deportation policies. The Constitution says that habeas corpus may not be suspended, quote, unless when in cases of rebellion or invasion. Would you vote to suspend habeas corpus, since the power does ultimately lie with Congress?
The president has said he will follow the law. The president says if he disagrees with the law, that he will appeal those things. The president was elected and he won every one of the battleground states on promising to secure the border and bring safety back to our communities. That's exactly what he is doing. People do not want to live with MS-13 gang members in their communities. The Democrats lost the election because they opened the borders to 10 million illegal immigrants, including members of criminal cartels, drug dealers, gang members. That's what the election was about.
What a tired
and the president
tune.
is now seeing judges, district judges, radical district judges.
They're not radical.
Using their courts to set national standards on making it harder for the president to deport individuals, criminals, and I stand with the president.
And yet, Senator, just to put a fine point on this, I want to know what you would do. Would you vote to suspend habeas corpus if this were brought before Congress? Ultimately, this power lies with Congress.
The president said he is going to follow the law. He was on with you last week. He said he has great respect for the Supreme Court. He said he expects the Attorney General to do the right thing, and I expect that the president will.
Can you just give me a yes or no what you would do, though? Would you support suspending habeas corpus?
I don't believe this is going to come to Congress.
Okay.
What I believe is the president is going to follow the law. He has said it repeatedly.
Senator Barrasso, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it and appreciate your Mother's Day wishes as well. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and thank you. And when we...
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to Kristen Welker she doesn't live in this democracy. She doesn't exist in this democracy. She just lives in a spaceship in the sky, and nothing matters to her or to the people on her team. It doesn't matter that there's someone just lying to her face and dissembling and not giving a straight answer. It doesn't matter to her. She doesn't give a shit because she is a television entertainer. She is not a journalist. She is not a journalist, okay? She may have come up in the ranks of the NBC News thing. She is hired for her ability to not get answers to the questions. She is hired for her ability to allow these people to lie. She is hired for her ability to listen to
Senator,
a guy say he doesn't care about the rights of all Americans and then go, thanks so much, and thanks for saying Happy Mother's Day. And I would actually make out with you if you wanted to.
I don't believe this is going to come to Congress.
Okay.
What I believe is the president is going to follow the law. He has said it repeatedly.
Watch her smile.
Senator Barrasso, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it and appreciate your Mother's Day wishes as well. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and thank you. And when we
Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for joining us, Senator Barrasso. Thank you so much. Thank you. Oh, I love you. Do you want to cuddle after you destroyed the idea about rights for Americans? Hello, welcome to the program.
Hi, it's Ron again.
Hey, Ron, how are you? Welcome in. Ron, you sound down in the dumps, Ron.
I am, man. So I visited my parents this weekend for Mother's Day. And it was just the same old thing of like what you're doing with your life and all of this stuff. And so I was talking about being an information ecologist, and they were like, what does that mean? And I just got really defensive about it because, like, I don't know, man. They're just like really on me.
Ron, I'm so sorry, Ron. That sounds terrible. Your parents are on you because you want to break into a new field of information ecology that is being taught at Deuce University. That's right. I'm going to give Pam Bondi $100,000 to not handle complaints, to make complaints against my fraudulent Deuce University disappear, where I teach people information ecology. And Pam Bondi's going to do it, and then she's going to become the Pope. After Pope Leo, Pam Bondi's going to become the Pope, because all that matters in this global authoritarian right-wing world is if you are just willing to lie for total dickheads. So, Ron, I'm so sorry to hear you. I just turned it into something about me, and it sounds like you're not being listened to in the home. And then here's Rev Deuce not really listening to you. So, Ron, I'm so sorry you're down in the dumps and that your parents are really on top of you. And so I say I love you, Ron, and I hear that you're sad and down in the dumps, and we support you. We all support you here.
Thank you, Deuce. I really appreciate it. And I really hope Pam Bondi does get back to you. I mean, I feel like that would just be really wonderful for me, because like this is definitely the route like I would like to go on, but it's like I don't really see it as like a lucrative opportunity well, I do see it as a lucrative opportunity, but my parents really put it down.
Well, and that's what we tell you when you sign up for Deuce University. We tell you that within 2 years you'll be making $2 million a year, because the universities that are under attack, they recognize that information ecology is the most important thing. And so they're starting to offer $2 million 2-year contracts to every information ecologist. We've become accredited only in the Mariana Islands. We are not accredited anywhere else, but we are accredited there. And so you can get a degree from Deuce University, and you can, it's going to be lucrative. Trust us. Don't worry about it. There's lots of people who care about our information ecosystem. They're actually all watching this program right now.
Do I have to move to the Marriott Islands? Like, do I need like residency there to?
You do not.
Go to
It's
the
entirely
college?
remote. You do not. You do have to wake up at 2 a.m. though. You do have to wake up at 2 a.m. for
Whoa.
most classes.
Dude, why does the world always ask that we do the hardest fucking things? That it just can't like comply to us?
Well,
Like, I
because
want to
we
wake
didn't
up at like
choose.
10 a.m.
Well, we didn't choose finance careers, did we, Ron? No, we took the difficult route of trying to save the nation from disinformation by high-quality, fact-based, pro-democracy information, and that's just our lot in life. We're just that cool. And so keep telling yourself you're cool, Ron, because you are.
I'm cool, and I'm going to be a $2 millionaire in 2 years.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Thank you, Deuce.
Oh, you're so welcome. That was Ron, everybody. Ron calling in. His parents are on him. Ron goes home and he tells his parents, I just want to be an information ecologist. And instead of recognizing that that is exactly what we need hundreds of thousands of information ecologists in every community, on every street corner in America, standing on their soapboxes just like they do in that park in London and shouting from the rooftops that we need to give a shit about our information diets. We need to worship facts in this world and in this time, where we find it so difficult to know what's going on. Who are the forces at play in our society, destroying democracy and engaging in theocracy? What will happen to any of us if we don't start giving a shit about facts immediately? That's right. We live in a disinformation post-truth society. And if we don't do anything about it starting right now, we are screwed. Because Steve Bannon is busy flooding your zone with shit. He's telling your cousin that trans people are the biggest problem in his life. And while doing so, he's making sure to destroy American democracy and instigate and install an American Taliban. Yes, that's really what's happening. The real conspiracy, the real deep state, is the Christian nationalist billionaires and their infiltration of the Trump administration. Yes, and. So go out and be a fact warrior and keep watching the program and tell everybody about all of the things that we are doing here at publicenlightenment.com. Yes, and. Yes, and look, Rev Deuce has to advertise, because if he doesn't, does it make a sound? Absolutely not. So we want you to go to Rev Deuce, and we want you to go to the Public Enlightenment YouTube channel, where we are making products for you to push back against. Look, we're doing this live, of course. We've got this. This only has 18 views. Are you kidding, my daddy?
Setting up a tailgating tent where he tells students they're the.
Meanwhile, Charlie Kirk has 3 million YouTube subscribers, and he is indoctrinating the youth of America. And so if you don't start spreading this video from Rev Deuce, more and more children are going to grow up to be white supremacist Christian nationalists. So if you care about that, you should spread Deuce's highly entertaining videos. Liberal media bias is a
outlets
myth.
produce.
All over America.
That only has 74 subscribers. Meanwhile, Daily Wire, which gets the support of fracking billionaires Ferris and Dan Wilkes, they are able to put out videos like this that have 1 million views.
Pronouns are being dropped from bios. Men are not having babies. And fewer drag queens are flashing their genitals at children.
So okay, that's what they're doing. What are we doing? Right? Gamers out there. Emma, what are we doing, gamers? You know? So I need you to go to Rev Deuce's channels, and I need you to, not because I want to make money, yes I do, but because I also want you to spread all this information.
Did you know Fox News was created to manipulate you? I've got proof.
I mean, maybe you know that, but guess what? All of our MAGA loved ones and neighbors who have been turned against us by the right-wing disinformation ecosystem that has been purpose-built since 1980 by people like Paul Weyrich, by people like Roger Ailes, by people like Rupert Murdoch, by people like Chris Ruddy. All of these people want to destroy our brains and destroy our society. Vladimir Putin is in league with them, whether knowingly or de facto or not, or wittingly, whatever it may be. He wants to destroy our democracy. He's paying right-wing influencers hundreds of thousands of dollars to spread pro-Kremlin disinformation. Do you care? Yes, you do. If you do, then you should spread these
I'm your
videos
information
by Rev
nutritionist,
Deuce so
Rev
that more
Deuce.
people
Fox News
understand their
co-founder
information
Roger
ecosystem. Yes, and now we also have another video. It's the best video we've ever done. It only took Rev Deuce a half hour to make, and he's so happy because it means that if he keeps doing videos like that, it will. But this is like a little
If you know more facts about the world, you voted for Kamala Harris. If you knew less facts about the world, you voted for Donald Trump. All of our problems in the world are the result of our information ecosystem. You need to care about everyone's media diet right now. Otherwise, we are ski-rude. If you know more facts
I'm
about
just waiting for the call from NBC News, a cease and desist. But look, I'm going to put this into the chat, okay? Because I need you to spread this shit. You know what I mean? I need you to spread this shit. And I need you to want to spread it because it's good information that's telling people about our information ecosystem. And if we don't care about our media diets, like Rev Deuce just said, we are ski rude. So yes and a million times over, yes and. Now, let's take a look. Pardon me. Man, allergies, am I right? They knocked me on my butt this weekend. Okay. Okay, this is just dumb. I just think we should look at this because this is dumb.
A story, a friend of mine who's a businessman, very, very, very top guy. Most of you would have heard of him. A highly neurotic, brilliant businessman, seriously overweight, and he takes the fat shot drug. And he called me up, and he said, President, he calls me, he used to call me Donald, now he calls me President, so that's nice respect. But he's a rough guy, smart guy, very successful, very rich. I wouldn't even know how we would know this, but because he's got comments. Said, President, could I ask you a question? What? I'm in London, and I just paid for this damn fat drug I take. I said, it's not working. He said, I just paid $88. And in New York, I pay $1,300. What the hell is going on? I mean, I'll tell you a story. A friend of mine who's a...
Okay, I mean, first of all, Donald Trump isn't going to do anything about the cost of drugs. We know that. The Democratic Party was doing something while in power about the cost of drugs. Like, there is no uniparty. I'm sorry, there isn't. You know, it feels very nice to create conspiracies that say, like, it's controlled opposition. I saw this crazy video that's about how AOC and it was from that guy, James Lee. James Lee is someone who we were made aware of. He's an influencer who has a large TikTok presence, and we were made aware of him by our MAGA friend and loved one. What was her name? I forget. That's how loved she is. But she made us aware of this influencer, James Lee, and she was like, into the program that we were doing, trying to talk to everybody about their information ecosystem and their media diet. And she said, you should really check out this influencer. And I checked him out, and he was just spreading Breitbart and Tucker Carlson. And I just said, I'm just going to stop there. And I love you. I'm so glad you came into the space and that you wanted to talk about your information ecosystem and your media diet. But this person is just spreading disinformation and propaganda. And she said, well, you are very close-minded. A good day. And then I just so happened to see this guy, James Lee, and he was doing, what was he doing? I'm going to bring this up. We are pivoting because Rev Deuce loves a pivot, except when it's the mainstream media saying that Donald Trump is pivoting. Something went wrong. Excuse me, a baking powder. There we go. Here it is. Look at this.
You talked about the Democrats a bunch there, so I wanted to ask you, do you have any comments about the Fight the Oligarchy tour that Bernie is on?
Look at this
I know
conspiracy.
what their stated goal is, but what do you think their actual goal is, if it's different than the stated goal?
Excellent. So Bernie Sanders and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, they have one function. Their function is to keep an independent third party from emerging. That is their job. That is why they are out there on speaking tours. That's what the uncommitted movement was about in 2020.
Let's think about this for 1 second. There is no viable third party. There just isn't. And if these guys were out there doing that, like, why? Right? Just why? Now, the thing is, you watch this, you'll see that there's like two POC who are talking about this, right? But the host, James Lee, is a dyed-in-the-wool right-wing conspiracy theorist, okay? Who really controls Facebook. Trump's new Surgeon General is a wellness influencer who drinks raw milk. False. She is a wellness influencer. She never got accredited. Homeless CEO caught stealing from the poor. Fraud about the LA fire cleanup. Michelle Obama is a liar. I don't care. We don't care about what Michelle Obama is up to. We care about what Donald Trump and his Christian nationalist administration is doing. So this guy is a right-wing influencer who shares interviews with Tucker Carlson and Breitbart stuff, but then people see this, they watch this, and they think they probably think these are two like left-oriented individuals.
I know what their
right?
stated goal is.
Progressive individuals, Democratic voters, whatever it may be.
So Bernie Sanders and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, they have one function. Or they always create these sheepdog movements that are designed to shepherd people back onto the Democrat plantation. That's their job. 2016, Bernie energizes a certain group and then hands them off to Hillary. 2020, energizes that group, hands them off to Biden. 2024, both Bernie and AOC say you have to vote for Killer Kamala. So
they both say you have to vote for Killer Kamala. Meanwhile, these guys aren't talking about Donald Trump. This is what they're talking about in this time. As we have an administrative coup, as we have all of this stuff, this is what these guys are focused on. That's our first tell that this is nothing more than an attempt to undermine our faith in democracy and institutions and the only viable opposition party that we currently have. Look, if you want to build a third party movement, go for it. Absolutely, go nuts, okay? But these people, Donald Trump is destroying our Constitution. With Elon Musk, he's deleting the government with Nazi children. He's enriching himself. He's just about to get a $400 million plane from the United Arab Emirates. This guy, George Witkoff, is traveling the world doing corruption on behalf of the Donald Trump family, not on behalf of America, right? And this is what these jackamoles want to talk about. I don't know what a jackamole is, but I just said it. So that's that. Anyway, I think we are at the entertaining portion of the program. Jesse, welcome in. These are Rev Deuce's favorites. This is where he also saves non-fact-based information, so he wants you to be aware of that. You can use the reposts on Rev Deuce's TikTok to spread fact-based information every single time you are online. The reposts are vetted by me, and they are things that Rev Deuce believes as an information nutritionist are persuasive, fact-based pieces of information that align with small d democracy that you should spread every single time you are online. Now, let's go take a look at what Rev Deuce saved on Instagram, because we want to give you some things that you can spread on your social media, because we are 60% of influencers do not fact check their information before they share it online. So we all have to be fact checking our information, and we have to take to the fight to social media. Give me 1 second while I make this big enough for me to do the things that I need to do. Yes, and I'm having trouble breathing, but that's okay. So look, you don't know where to turn to share this story about the $400 million jet. Well, this guy's pretty good. What happened? Why is this so freaking small?
A $400 million super jet from the Qatari royal family. This is probably the biggest bribe in presidential history. Trump is traveling to the Middle East this week to celebrate some investments from Middle Eastern countries. And Trump's trip to the Middle East comes just a few days after his sons were in the UAE, announcing that an Emirati state-owned company will use the Trump family's stablecoin to make a $2 billion business deal. But ahead of Trump's trip, the Qatari royal family announced that they would be gifting Trump a $400 million palace on wheels. And the Trump administration is already claiming authority for Trump to keep the plane. They plan to transfer ownership of the plane to his presidential library at the end of his term. It's truly insane how many MAGA people will just wave this off after 8 years of Hillary Clinton and Hunter Biden. This is the biggest bribe in presidential history. The Trump administration's position is now you can't buy your child another doll for Christmas, but Donald Trump can accept a $400 million luxury jumbo jet. Donald Trump was just gifted a $400 million super jet.
Okay, so did Sawyer Hackett work for Obama? Sure. So is he linked to the Democratic Party? Absolutely. But guess what? We can't be we have to care about information, and wherever good information is coming from and persuasive information is coming from, we have to use it and we have to share it with everybody. This cynicism about the only viable opposition party is just going to lead to more success for the fascists. I hope we understand that. And so that's what we're saying. Now, this is another good point. So, the Trump administration at the highest levels of our government fought to bring Andrew Tate back to America because it's all just a big house of cards of disinformation and propaganda to further radicalize our youth, honestly. That's what's going on. So are we going to wake up and are we going to start to care? David said, so care more for their reasoning and information than their individual conclusion. That song is too good for its terrible message. That song goes so hard, but it's so evil. Emma, why did you listen to it in the first place? I mean, it's cool to expose yourself to things, but why did you listen to it in the first place?
Don't see a way out
this is
of where we're going, and so
so when you talked about fascism in your last column, you meant to
call it what it is. Absolutely. I mean,
you think that's where we're heading?
People are pussyfooting around this idea. People are being deported wrongly from the States to an El Salvador jail without due process. What's that? Trump is doing deals for resources with dictators. It absolutely is that, and we have to call it that, and we have to act in the way that we should have done more quickly in the 30s. I just got an offer, will you come and do a week in this club in Chicago? It's not something I'd normally do anyway, because at the moment I'd have to take a huge set of an American cityscape and 2 full-size werewolf costumes. I'd have to get those through American customs at the moment. But I wouldn't work in the States at the moment. I'd worry about them going through my jokes and ending up spending 2 days locked up without my heart medication. I just would worry about it. Don't see a way out.
I think it's interesting to share the perspective of foreigners at this time. I made a point online in response to someone about due process the other day. And then I want to talk about this song that everyone's talking about in the chat, some Kanye song that apparently is about praising Hitler, which is insane. But so please spread all that fact-based information and persuasive argument that I just put into the chat. But let me say this. What was I going to talk about? Wait, about that guy? Oh, due process, right? This is, I think, give this argument to people about due process, everybody, okay? Here's the argument you give to people about due process. Wow, look how big my head is. It's huge. What am I doing? That's stupid. Let me make my head less big. Anyway, here's the argument you give to people about due process, okay? So if you lived in France and somehow, for whatever reason, you found yourself working in Morocco illegally, you needed to work in Morocco and you were there, you had entered illegally, or even your visa had expired, okay? And so you're in Morocco. And Morocco decides that they are going to put you into a Mongolian prison camp for the rest of your life, just because you entered the country illegally. They're not going to deport you. They're not going to send you back to France. That's what deporting means. No, they are going to send you to a Mongolian prison camp for the rest of your life. And it is also the case in this scenario that Morocco, in its founding legal document, in Morocco's constitution, it says any person on Moroccan soil has the right to due process. But instead you get sent to a Mongolian prison for the rest of your life. And now how do you feel about the idea of due process? Does that work? I think it works. Well, so Strange Fruit was originally Billie Holiday, was it not? But anyway, here's what I gotta say, Emma. I'm not gonna rag on you, Emma. I love you. I support you. But I do want to point this out, that anything is culturally relevant because we make it so. And there's also at least 6 PR professionals for every journalist in this country. So basically we live in a PR world where if someone decides that who has a lot of money that they want something to become relevant, they can make it relevant for us, even if it's not anything that would have become relevant for us. That's how society, that's how the sausage is made. And so I ask you to think about, and maybe, look, maybe, you know, this is where Rev Deuce stands on separating the art from the artist. He doesn't. And so, Rev Deuce, anytime that Michael Jackson songs come on the radio, sure, they slap. Those beats were written by Quincy Jones. Friggin' incredible, right? But all Rev Deuce can think about is Michael Jackson, not in a but Michael Jackson, like raped tens of children, if not hundreds, And so it feels weird to me personally. This is just me personally. It feels weird to me to bop around while a guy who raped children and ruined their lives is like singing a song. That just feels weird to me. That's where I land on it. I know lots of people are like that. I've had friends proudly tell me, but I can separate the art from the artist, as if it's like a skill, as if it's like a great achievement. And so everybody can do what they can. Everybody can do what they can in their own time as much as they want. Absolutely 100%. This is just Rev Deuce's perspective on it. So I haven't heard the song. Out of my own principle, I will not listen to this song. Maybe that's ignorant of me. Maybe I should listen to this song. I guess what you're saying, Emma, is that it praises Hitler. I don't know. I mean, I think the song is called Heil Hitler. So I just don't believe that my life will be less good if I don't hear that song. And so I just don't, I don't need to make it culturally relevant in my culture and in my world. That's how I feel about that. So I'm sorry if you thought that I was ragging on you or for other people were ragging on you, but that's just how I feel about it. And I hear you saying in the chat, I think art is different from the artists, but to a degree. Sure. I mean, it's a bummer. Look, I love Remix to Ignition, one of the greatest pop songs of all time. You could have seen Rev Deuce in his college days walking around the bar with a pitcher of beer in his hand as his drink, going toot toot beep beep. But then I came to understand how horrifically abusive R. Kelly was, and I just don't listen to the song anymore. That's me, And God forbid some historian finds out that Vincent van Gogh, was a war criminal or something like that. Because I love Vincent van Gogh and it gives me great joy to look at his paintings. But now with Elvis, I don't know. What did Elvis do? Oh, yeah. No, Emma, I'm sorry, Emma. Nobody's attacking you. Nobody's attacking you. I'm not attacking you, certainly. I just saw that it was something that we were discussing in the chat about how, the song is culturally relevant. And I know that you are not someone who supports Hitler. Absolutely, I know that, and I love you. I just thought it was an opportunity to me to share how I look at that kind of stuff. It's not about me at the end of the day. It's about all of us and what we're all doing with what we have. And that's cool. Hate watch that stuff. You know what I mean? I sometimes hate watch stuff. Michael Jordan is quoted as saying, "Hate watching is addictive. Stop, get help." Is that what you're saying, David? So, all right, I'm going to move on with the program. I believe either it's getting warm or I am getting a fever. So, wonderful. So this is just a quick look into Monster Goes So Hard by Kanye, and I will continue to listen because I'm not supporting him. He's too big for an individual listen to do anything. Great. We support you in that, Emma. However, if everyone decided that they didn't want to listen to it anymore, then we would strip him of his power and his cultural relevance. But that's the same argument as someone that might say to me, well, what you say that we shouldn't focus on building a third party. I say, look, you can if you want to. And someone can say to me, look, you can try to get everyone to stop listening to Kanye if you want to, but good luck, dude. Okay. I think that the chat bot has calmed down a little, by the way. Shelly Barber, welcome in. Barby. Shelly Barby, welcome in. Actually, Emma, I canceled my Amazon, and it stinks. I wish I still had it, but I canceled it. I'm trying so hard to be so pure boy over here. So let's keep going through the news. President Trump's special envoy did not employ his own interpreter during 3 meetings with Russian President Putin, opting instead to rely on translators from the Kremlin, a U.S. official, and 2 Western officials tell NBC News. What's interesting about this is that George Witkoff is just traveling around doing corruption. It's unprecedented. Do we know about this? Is our mainstream media describing this? Oh, we got to type corruption to the public with the necessary prominence and frequency. All right, this is from The Nation. Get out of here. Ding-dong. I've reached my free article limit. What if I do this? Oh, I typed it wrong. Oh, I did do it right. Boom. Rev Deuce will whisper that secret to reading articles in your ear if you join the Discord. Why Trump's epic crypto corruption will go unpunished. The president is a brazen crook, but Democrats are too compromised to challenge him. Okay, that's one perspective. How about we all challenge him? How about this? How about the subhead is that Americans need to take to the streets to challenge this corruption? Anyway, I'll move on from this frame, which is like Dems in disarray. The Republicans are destroying the country. Okay, Emma, well, look, you do you, and we love you, and everybody has their own way about going through the world. There's never been an American politician as nakedly corrupt as Donald Trump. Oh, whoops. Screen share. Oops. So this is a piece, sorry, nobody saw this. This is a piece called Why Trump's Epic Crypto Corruption Will Go Unpunished. And then we're going to search for this guy, Witkoff, okay, who in a meeting with Vladimir Putin didn't use translators. You know why he didn't use translators? Okay? It's because if you use a translator and if you have your own officials there, there will be a record of the corruption that you did. Right? The debate around regulating cryptocurrency illustrates both Trump's corruption and the failure of Democrats to effectively counter it. Yes, the Democrats are totally doing the wrong thing on this. Yes. But Donald Trump is the one doing the corruption. On May 1st, at a conference in Dubai, Zach Witkoff, who just happens to be the son of Trump's envoy to the Middle East, Steve Witkoff, okay, now George, not George, as well as the founder of World Liberty Financial, the Trump family crypto firm, made a startling revolution. As the New York Times reported, Witkoff announced that a so-called stablecoin developed by the firm would be used to complete the transaction between the state-backed Emirati investment firm MGX and Binance, the largest crypto exchange in the world. The Times went on to offer a detailed explanation of why this new business venture crossed ethical and legal lines. Okay, but how many times has the New York Times reported on that since? How much have they put that on the front page above the fold in giant font to say the president is corrupt? They're apparently reporting it. So why wouldn't you say the president of the United States is corrupt in a headline on your paper? Virtually every detail of Mr. Witkoff's announcement made during a press conference panel with Mr. Trump's second eldest son contained a conflict of interest. MGX's use of the World Liberty stablecoin USD1 brings a Trump family company into business with a venture firm backed by a foreign government. The deal creates a formal link between World Liberty and Binance, a company that has been under U.S. government oversight since 2023 when it admitted to violating federal money laundering laws. And the splashy announcement served as an advertisement to crypto investors worldwide about the potential for forming a partnership with a company tied to President Trump, a partnership with President Trump's company. Fuck off with that euphemistic language. Who is listed as World Liberty's chief crypto advocate. It's his company, you dildars. Sorry, dildar is a name for people, and I apologize. The problem with Trump's crypto dealings can be described in broader context as a conflict of interest. Crypto is an often shady industry that only survives by allowing for legally dubious financial transactions, and Trump, as president, oversees the government that regulates this industry. Trump is at the same time a crypto investor, a crypto regulator, and a politician whose campaign was heavily funded by crypto money. Okay, Zach Witkoff. Tattoo it on your forehead, everybody. Totally, utterly corruptamingo. Dingo bingo. All right? Corruptamingo, dingo bingo. What do we have here? Okay, that's our post from our friends. And we already shared that. Seth Kotler telling us that the author of this 1977 op-ed was the most important college mentor for the current head of the DOJ Civil Rights Division. So, do we know what's going on at the DOJ Civil Rights Division? Harmeet Dillon, what often happens in these hyper right-wing administrations is they put people in charge of government agencies who are diametrically opposed to those government agencies and want to destroy them. It's what they did with Scott Pruitt at the EPA. It's what they did with Neil Gorsuch's mom at the EPA. Neil Gorsuch, Supreme Court Justice, his mom was a head of the EPA, and she tried to destroy the EPA. Madison, the reason that we do not see it, the reason we do not do anything about it is because we are all sucking down information light and we are pacifying ourselves as a nation. There are easy entertainments. There are ways to distract ourselves from what is serious and what is a bummer. But guess what? The more major bummer is when there is a hot war in our country. Knee Blockable says David Sachs is their crypto advisor. She's from South Africa. He's from South Africa. Part of the PayPal mafia, like Musk and Thiel. I promise you he has aligned goals. Of course, David Sachs is an extremely corrupt individual. David Sachs is an extremely corrupt individual. They are all extremely corrupt. And this, as we see on the screen, this isn't necessarily corruption. This is radicalism. Jeffrey Hart, okay? Jeffrey Hart who wrote this op-ed. Roots was a racist attack on white people. He wrote this in 1977. Roots is a racist. Roots, a show, literally a mini-series about people being slaves and the fact that they suffered under slavery. Roots. Roots was a racist attack on white people. Okay? This is the person who was the #1 mentor. She said that at Dartmouth, she had 2 life-changing experiences, working for the Dartmouth Review and taking classes from this guy. Okay? So we want you to share this piece of information so that people understand. Wow, incredible. Seth Kotler has a quote from Ronald Reagan about Roots. Reagan says, "Very frankly, I thought the bias of all the good people being one color and all the bad people being another was rather destructive." I would say that the people who were dragged from their homes in Africa to live generations in bondage, I bet they thought that was pretty destructive too. You fucking piece of shit. Sorry, that was very un-Rev Deuce, but like Rev Deuce is pissed off that people don't understand that Ronald Reagan was a horrific, virulent racist and one of the most extreme people. He was like born of the Bircher movement, okay? Like, man, Rev Deuce is fired up today, let me tell you. So you are going to go and spread this piece of information because you are a fact warrior. We love you, Knee Blockable, and your ideas and your thoughts. We love all of you. Emma, Madison, Shelley Barble saying amen. I think to me saying that Ronald Reagan was a piece of shit. All right, we're getting a little too mean for Rev Deuce's desires, but we are going to spread that because people need to be aware of the radicalism of these people. Yes, and. Now, I thought this was, I don't think I shared this with everyone. I thought this was powerful. So
Liberalism was a really effective project at convincing us that we are all alone.
Neoliberalism.
That we are isolated, that we are divided, that we are little mini capitalists, right? We have our houses, we have our pension pots, and if we just sit down and focus on the stock market and don't look at anything else that's going on around us, our lives will get better. And for a while it worked. Until 2008, that bargain held. But since then it has not held. And yet we still feel alone and disempowered. So in swoops the far right with its promises about belonging, about community, you being part of something, part of a great nation with this long history, this long trajectory, feeling strong again, feeling like you're part of something. The left hasn't been able to do that in most cases. We've instead been going and talking at people, saying, if you vote for us, we'll protect you, we'll save you, we'll expand the size of the state, we'll undo neoliberalism, often using words that people have never even heard before. And that's why I think we are seeing the far right exploit this crisis so much more effectively than the left. Because often far right politicians are in communities telling people, you see that playground over there that hasn't had any investment in a very long time, that your kids can't use anymore? The reason that that's happened is because of migrants. Your rent's gone up. Why? Because of migrants. Where is the left? The left used to be there. Back in those moments when we were strong, when we were powerful, when we were effective, we were in communities, we were in workplaces, we were there talking to people, and not just saying, vote for this political party and we'll give you nice things. Saying, right, well, you know, we actually organized a protest last week to save your community center, and that's why your kids have somewhere to go after school. And if we can all work together to try and do that at the next election, then we can extend those gains.
So I'm going to interrupt this because I don't really buy what she's selling in some ways. I think that there are people doing that in communities all over the country all the time. I think she is talking about America as well. I don't know if she's talking about the UK or America. She sounds obviously British. But there are people doing activism and doing mutual aid and doing the work of caring, and they are members of the Democratic Party in local places, in municipalities, in counties, and in states around the country. If anything, she is talking to, you know, Chuck Schumer. And people like Amy Klobuchar. And these maniacs who vote in Donald Trump's nominees, like Cory Booker. Cory Booker, who does some performative bullshit, which is good because it gets people to pay attention to the issue. But then if you are someone who actually cares about what's happening in politics, you also see that a week later, Cory Booker votes for some completely unqualified Trump nominee out of some misguided idea about something or out of corruption. Who knows? But performative politics done by a few maniacs does not undermine the reality that there are hundreds of thousands of progressive people working at all times around the country to make those arguments to people in their municipalities. Yes, and
in fact, not we can extend those gains, you can extend those gains. Because you are part of something that is very powerful. You are part of a class, part of a movement that spans history, part of a class that won restrictions on working time, that's fought battles against capitalists, against states all over the world, that's won socialized healthcare, that's won education, that has won so much. And yet over the last 50 years, you have been convinced that you are powerless, and you're not.
So the people convincing you that you are powerless are not necessarily the the Labour Party in Britain or the Democratic Party in America. Yes, you may be disappointed by the actions of those parties, absolutely 100%. But the people who are convincing you that you are powerless are the Vladimir Putins and the Steve Bannons, who create memes that originate from accounts that look like BLM Today or, Free Palestine Now, right? And then they inject in those memes that they create to make you pissed off at the Democratic Party, to make you pissed off at democracy in general, to make you believe that there's no hope, there's nothing you should do. You shouldn't even get out of bed or leave your house or do anything to try to change the world. That is the behavior of Donald Trump. That is the behavior of Steve Bannon, the behavior of Christopher Rufo, the behavior of Charlie Kirk, the behavior of Ben Shapiro, the behavior of Tim Pool, the behavior of Benny Johnson, the behavior of Dave Rubin. And when you go onto Twitter, for example, you just see bot after bot after bot after bot saying the Democrats destroyed this, the Democrats destroyed that, the Democrats. The party that is destroying our country actively in order to install theocracy is the Republican Party. And so we are going to end today's program with the reminders of what we talked about today. We talked about the mainstream media's failure to uplift powerful information about the complete unfitness of the President of the United States. We talked about the ways in which our mainstream media lets us down by interviewing fascists who are advocating for the destruction of habeas corpus and who then at the end of the interview say, "Thank you so much for being here." I really especially liked when you said that you would vote to remove the rights of my child to breathe clean air and exist in a healthy country. And so have a wonderful day and goodbye. So that is totally fucked up. And if you're a boomer parent, I'm so sorry to isolate boomers. But the reason why I did that just then is because I had an experience with my own mother where I had the conversations over time. I'm an information nutritionist, and I said, Mom, look, CBS News, like Maureen O'Donnell, is just normalizing shit. Listen to all the euphemisms they're using. Listen to all the ways that they frame these stories. And yet every now and then they push back on some of this. But that's not how journalism is supposed to go. Journalism is democracy's immune system. And so it's not every now and then you push back on somebody hard because you're going to look tough that day. No, you look tough every day. If you are a journalist, you comfort the afflicted and you afflict the comfortable. Yes, and thank you. Popular government without popular information or the means to acquire it is nothing more than a prelude to farce, tragedy, or something far worse. And so what are we doing every single day to get people popular information? What are we doing every single day in a world that has failed us information-wise, in an information ecosystem that is corporate commercialized and is profit-seeking above all else? That uses the 5 filters that Noam Chomsky and Edward S. Herman wrote about in their amazing book, Manufacturing Consent. I wish that there was a contemporary update to that because the examples are so out of our minds in terms of history. They're referring to things that happened in the 80s and the 70s, and we were not there for that largely. And if we were, we do not remember it. But so yes, there are propaganda filters in our mainstream ecosystem of reporting news and giving it to the public, but we need to boost and uplift amazing journalism that reports in the public interest. Go support ProPublica. Go support The Intercept. Go support The Guardian. If you want to support a more mainstream outlet. I mean, ProPublica is not a mainstream outlet. It's a nonprofit. Go support Marissa Kabas and her thing, The Handbasket. Go to the lists that RevDeuce has created for you online. These lists right here. I can't believe I clicked on the right tab right away. Go to the news. Click on the news at Blue Sky at publicenlightenment.com. Go support these outlets. Tell people about them. Lift them up. Share fact-based information that aligns with democracy at all times, because if we do not, we are screwed. It's an information war, and everyone has been sitting on the sidelines for the last 10 years. So call into the show, tell your friends, talk about it. Talk about it. Talk about your information ecosystem. Talk about Zach Witkoff's unprecedented corruption. Talk about Donald Trump's unprecedented corruption. You know what I mean? The screen is blank. We're producing it live. And support your old pal Rev Deuce. Go to his YouTube. Corruption. Go to his Substack. Spread these articles. Care about information. The reason we have fascism in America is because we have not given a shit about everyone's information diets. We have let everyone's minds atrophy. And we need to become civically engaged yesterday to do anything about it. Jay Lapidus, everybody in the Substack, you can help support Rev Deuce right now. If you're at a computer, atrophy. Oh no! And we need to become civically engaged yesterday. Please, Yarvin said they couldn't restructure the government if they didn't control the Ministry of Truth. His words, not mine. They rely on propaganda and media control to execute their plans. Absolutely, knee blockable. That's what's going on. We have fascism in America. The fascist achieves his aims through propaganda and violence. And so until we have the violence that makes us wake up, right? We already have the violence of sending people to labor camps, like who have done nothing other than enter our country illegally. We send them to a foreign nation, not their home nation, and sentence them to a life in prison. That's violence. That is absurd and insane and terrifying. And we cannot accept a world like that. And I know we will not accept it when the military starts shooting protesters. So when are we going to wake up? When are we going to realize that the only way to prevent a hot war where your daughter dies because someone labels her a radical Marxist leftist baby-eating murderer and then dehumanizes her to the degree where she's shot in the street for peacefully protesting against the corruption of the totally horseshit, fear-based president? When are you going to wake up? This is so not Deuce's vibe, but Deuce is fired up. And we don't want to overlook Madison's great news that she'll be able to do some more editing for Rev Deuce, and that will be incredible because we've been doing just bangers today. Mike, the time to wake up and be a fact warrior is right now. Steve Bannon at all times is flooding the zone with shit. Why do we have fascism in America? Because Steve Bannon is pumping disinformation into the brains of every American. And so we all have to be fact warriors. I could not be more convinced of anything else in my life. And so I take to the internet every single day to spread fact-based information that aligns with small d democracy. And I provide you with the tools to do that. And I want you to help me. So if you are in the Substack, I will know I'm going to sit here and wait until you go to twitch.tv/public enlightenment. Go there right now. I'll wait. Because when you go and follow me, I will get a little notification. So I'm just going to sit here. I'm going to sit here until you do it, and if you don't do it, okay. What'd I say, backsplash? But like, this is where we're at. Like, look, Rev Deuce is out here fighting for you. He is providing you with the tools to fight. He wants your MAGA loved ones to come to this show. He wants your MAGA loved ones to be in this space so he can talk to them. I just did one of those inverse burps. I apologize. He is giving you the tools to understand the world because he cares about information deeply and desperately. Did y'all see Kash Patel? Did y'all see Kash Patel lying? There was a time where MAGA people cared about lying. Now they only care about the accusations they hear about just Democrats. That's only anti-Democrat.
In FEMA, not in DHS or the U.S. government writ large, but within FEMA. I and I alone speak for FEMA. Okay? I am the President's representative at FEMA. And I am here to carry out President Trump's intent. And that's why I'm here. Now, this is the tough part. Most of you know this by intuition, but nobody's ever told you this. When somebody comes to an organization and there's going to be change, it's recognized that everybody's somewhat nervous or somewhat concerned. Understandable. What's not known is that between 10 and 20% of personnel will embrace change. They'll welcome it. And they understand that change, handled right, is progress. They understand that it's necessary, and they see that it needs to be made.
This guy sounds like he's been living Fear's program his whole life.
20%.
This is demagoguery.
Something like 60%, they don't care. Go along to get along. And I completely understand. I've been in a situation before where I went along to get along. However, there's somewhere south of 20% that decide that they are going to get in the way of change. You can ask anybody.
This is
20% of the people.
This is like abusive language.
And they have to be sidelined. So don't get in my way if you're those 20% of people. I know all the tricks, okay? I know them from lance corporals. I know them from staff sergeants, lieutenants, federal employees, my own employees, and indeed myself, okay? I played the games too. Obfuscation, delay, undermining. You're one of those 20% of the people. You think those tactics and techniques are going to help you, but they will not, because I will run right over you. I will achieve the president's intent. In FEMA.
And what's the president's intent? My guy? What is that intent? Did y'all see this? These people don't know if the person standing in their neighborhood, their neighbor, is about to end up in a prison camp in a foreign nation for the rest of their life. Why would they have any reason to believe that that is not what is about to happen to this person being ripped off the street? It happened to scores of men who were wrangled up and brought from the Venezuelan men who are now living in a El Salvadorian prison for the rest of their life. The president of El Salvador has bragged that no one ever gets out. 60 Minutes found, fact-based news organizations have found that 75% of the men sent there to this El Salvadoran prison were innocent of all crimes except for entering the country illegally. Happy Mother's Day, Mom Ro. This is your country. And people like Stephen Miller and Donald Trump just doesn't even give a shit, right? He's just making money. But people like Stephen Miller are like jerking off to this, okay? Do we understand that? Do we understand the depravity of these individuals? And these ICE agents have the audacity to be such scared little boys and girls that they cover their faces. Quit your job. Quit your job if you're scared that people will have a problem with the fact that you're that you're abducting people and putting them in a foreign prison for the rest of their lives for the crime of being a human being seeking a better opportunity. I bet a lot of those people believe that they're Christians. I bet a lot of those people who cover their faces go to church on Sunday. Now, Shelley, here's the thing. Shelley Barby says, the cruelty is the point. Shame on Trump voters who are enjoying this disgusting. Sure, if you're enjoying this, that is a little upsetting. The thing is, Shelley, what we talk about here all the time is that people are doing the best they can with what they have. And so many of our MAGA friends and loved ones and neighbors who voted for Donald Trump, they live in a community. They have the same need for comprehension, control, and community that we all do. We all have that. Every one of us. And they go to church on Sunday, and their pastor in their community is telling them Donald Trump is a man of God. Now, their pastor may be a corrupt individual or they may be completely deluded. Who knows? But this person is just a regular person who lives in a community where they voted for Republicans ever since Ronald Reagan, where they do not understand that the people who are in power that they're voting for are racist. They may engage with news very little, which is what Big Rev Deuce is all about. Because we know, we have the charts, we know that if you engage with news and if you know more things about the world, you are more likely to not vote for fascism. Sure, okay, great. Kamala Harris was a cop. Absolutely. Nah, I'm not pumped about that. But because I read the news and understood and worked really hard to get the context for the news that is so impossible for all of us to get in this time. Especially when you live in a world where multiple fake news organizations, multiple propaganda outlets like RSBN, OANN. If you live somewhere where a Sinclair station reaches 40% local television, Sinclair station reaches 40% of households in America. Sometimes there are two Sinclair outlets in any given community, and that is because we have had regulations rolled back that would have prevented that at the FCC, the ability for them to get these loopholes and to work around these things. But everyone is doing the best they can with what they have, Shelley, and so I know that that's not necessarily what you were saying. You were talking about people who are enjoying this, but Shelley, there's also the reality that people have been twisted and warped, and if you've ever been, I've been in a situation where I was made to think a certain way because of the people who are around me, where I understood the world a certain way, maybe a cruel way, because of the people in my community and what they said about the world and what their position was in my community. And so I said, well, I guess they're right. It is very hard for any of us to know better, and that is why we fight every single day for fact-based information. It's the only thing we can do. The only thing we can do is fight for fact-based information, lift all information boats so that people are exposed to more and healthy and quality information. To push back on the fascists' strategy of attacking the free press. The real rooters out of corruption, fraud, waste, and abuse has always been and will always be the journalists. And now we have a corporate commercialized system for informing the public. And so, yes, of course, some of those quote-unquote journalists will be nothing more than entertainers going along to get along, as that FEMA ghoul just said. But we know that information becomes outcomes. We know that information has no bias in terms of polluting minds if it is disinformation. It has no bias in terms of manipulating people if it is meant to manipulate. And so we cannot write off everyone who is MAGA, just as we hope that MAGA does not write off everyone who is not MAGA, although we see that happening more and more. And so if you've ever called someone a maggot, you are a victim of the information war, just as someone who calls everyone non-MAGA a libtard is a result of the information war. There is no nuance anymore. There is no trust in democracy or institutions anymore. It is being destroyed by Vladimir Putin and Elon Musk and Steve Bannon. It is being destroyed by Christopher Rufo and Barry Weiss. It is being destroyed by people who are full of fear and inadequacy, of guilt and shame and doubt, and they use those patterns that they have walked their whole life to lash out at others in order to somehow feel better. And that is horrible, and so we fight. Now, I have to go, and I'm very curious why no one has gone to Public Enlightenment at Twitch and followed me yet. I'm just asking you a very simple favor. If you believe, if you agree, if you can say yes and to the things that I'm saying in this program, if you understand that fascism is only achievable with propaganda, and if you agree that we have to push back against fascism by flooding the zone with facts, then please, I am begging you literally, if you are hearing these words, to go to Emma. I'm begging you to go to twitch.tv/Public Enlightenment right now, please. I'm literally begging you, because if you believe the things that I'm saying, I believe that you would take 2 minutes out of your time to support me. And I know I'm guilting you. I know that's lame, but I need your help, and I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to help every single person in this world to experience joy, to experience love, to experience support. Madison, I feel like you unfollowed me and then followed me again just to be a leader. I need your help. I do this every single day. I share with you news and information. I know, Momro. I know. So that you can go and be a fact warrior and spread it across the nation. And sometimes I share fun
There's
things
billionaires
too.
on podcasts? Why are they on podcasts? Zuckerberg went on a podcast. You did it. You don't, that's for me to promote this. You already have all the money. What are you doing? It's this weird thing. I don't like nerds and meatheads have met and I don't like the outcome. Like decades ago, nerds and meatheads never spoke to each other. Like maybe the meathead would go over there and bully the nerd every once in a while, and then once he was crying, he'd leave. And that was it. And then we'd become adults and they just wouldn't interact. But over the last few years, meatheads have gotten podcasts and they've invited the nerds and then they have a conversation and afterwards a weird thing happens. Now the meathead thinks he's smart and the nerd thinks he's cool. And neither thing could be further from the truth. Like it couldn't be further. If you don't believe me, look up a picture of Elon Musk and Zuckerberg before they ever went on a podcast and look at them now. All it was a meathead going, that's a pretty cool point you made. And they're like, oh my God, before they were all just dorks. Do you remember the first time Elon smoked weed on the Rogan podcast? Like, how do you do it? That's pretty okay. Cut to 5 years later, he's with a chainsaw. Every park ranger is fired now. And you're like, something happened. The nerds and the meatheads. They both had what the other wanted. I want respect from my peers, and these people think I'm dumb. Give me some of your intelligence. Oh, why am I winded from telling that joke? I think I have low T. I think that's what it is.
Low T soy boys. Okay, so what are you going to do? Are you going to not follow your friend Deuce? Listen, literally, Deuce is just stalling. He's got stuff to do today, but he's stalling until the people on Substack go to twitch.tv/public enlightenment. All right? I know you're in there. Okay? And how can you get one other person to do it? This is a drive. This is now officially a follow on Public Enlightenment. Why did I make such a dumb name so hard to spell? Hey, Bryn, we are asking people. No, Madison, you don't need to do it again. In fact, it might mess with my numbers, Madison. Okay, David, 19 hours ago, David, you suggested that we do a song. And so maybe if people won't be convinced to go and follow me on Twitch, because it helps me. It helps your pal Rev Deuce. You can go and follow, and you can mute everything and never think about Twitch ever again. Okay? I'm just asking you for help. I don't know, is that the worst thing in the world to ask for help? This is a religion based on support, based on energy, based on commitment, giving, connection, and gratitude. And I would be so grateful if you would help me out. Now, David, you made the suggestion of a song, and maybe y'all can do this. This will be my reward for doing a song for y'all, okay? So I'm going to improvise a song because that's what Rev Deuce does, and Rev Deuce will admit that he was a little fired up today, and he said some mean things, and Rev Deuce is a being of light, just as all of you are. All of you are just the sun's energy. I don't know if you understand that, but the sun beams from the sky, and we catch it by eating or drinking. Otherwise, we die. Okay, so we are literally sustained by the sun's energy. We literally are a permutation of the sun. And as such, we are energy. And we are trying to vibrate on the same frequency because human connection is the surest path towards joy. And in the face of destruction, disinformation, hatred, and cruelty, we worship facts. And we worship facts because we can only come together if we have a shared understanding of the world. And so I see that we have a new person in the chat, and I think that they're about to follow us on Twitch, and I'm so grateful for that. So let's see. David, what happened? What is the song that we are going to do? If David is not here, I will take the suggestion of a culture war bullshit topic that is generated by the psychological arms dealers of the right-wing manipulation machine in order to divide us and in order to defeat us in the information war. Operators are standing by. By operators, I mean me. And by me, I mean right now, I am ready to input the genre. Can I get a suggestion of a genre? Jason, often on Substack, often I ignore your genre suggestion because someone else beats you to it. So Jason, if you are here still today, Male Rights USA. Yeah. Wait a second. We might have to keep the program going. Male Rights USA, will you call in for a conversation with your old pal Rev Deuce? We're so grateful that you came back. I wonder who Trump's fat businessman friend is. I looked it up, everyone, and no one knows, but he called out Ozempic for costing $88 in London and $1,300 in the USA. Now, Male Rights USA, is this your number one topic right now? The thing you care about the most? And if it is, that's okay. But so, are you coming to the place with the information nutritionist Rev Deuce to find out who it is that did that? We did talk about that earlier in today's show. Male Rights USA, we love it when our MAGA friends and loved ones come back to the program because we know that we cover a difficult subject matter for you. And we had someone else just earlier say that, again, we do not believe the things that you are told that we believe, everyone who's non-MAGA, about y'all. Okay? Not in this tub, not in this space. What we believe is everyone is doing the best they can with what they have. And Male Rights, we believe that you are listening to people who want you to feel a certain way in order to support their outright corruption. Now, we know that when you hear us say that, you say, but what about Joe Biden? You say, but what about Kamala Harris? What about Obama and Malia Obama getting millions of dollars in USAID money? And what I would say to you is that they're not the president right now, and that we know that Donald Trump is engaging in abject, ridiculous, nuclear-level corruption. That if Joe Biden was doing it, or if Obama was doing it, or if Malia Obama was doing it, you'd be fired up about. And so what is it? What has happened that you're not fired up about that? We also know that if you are told that there is reporting about Donald Trump that is negative, that you say, well, that's on CNN or that's on, NBC, or Donald Trump has sued CBS for $20 billion. So obviously they cannot be trusted because Donald Trump sued them for $20 billion. But Donald Trump is doing that as a strategy. Because the real exposers of corruption, fraud, and abuse are the journalists they always have been. Now, are there some good journalists and some bad journalists? Just as there are some good baseball players and bad baseball players? Absolutely. The pitching for the Baltimore Orioles has not been great so far this season. Yes, I am an O's fan. Are there great entertainers? And are there great entertainers who also do bad things like Kanye West? Yes, absolutely. There is a lot more nuance in the world than we are allowed to have these days. And we do hope that your day is going well, Male Rights, although maybe you have left, I don't know. So David wants us to sing a song, and again, no one has followed on Twitch, so I don't know. If you shout into the internet and complain, does it make a sound? I thought people liked complaining on the internet. I thought that's why I was not doing such a good job building my audience, because I don't do enough complaining and grousing. But oh well, all right, I'll just move on. It's 11:23. Rev Deuce has to make videos and change the world. So David said, we don't have time to litigate every deportation, a.k.a. F your due process. F your due process. We don't have time to litigate every deportation. Did we sing a song about due process yet? I guess maybe we didn't. Okay. What's the genre, gang? Hey, Gwendolyn H. Berry. Gwendolyn, we are going to end today's program by singing an improvised song. That's why I have Pixabay up here. And the suggestion is the culture. It's not even a culture war BS topic. So I know we got a really good song out of voter suppression, a really good song. Yeah, knee blockable. That's funny. A lot of politicians are on Ozempic, and a lot of far right are very focused on aesthetic. Yes, absolutely. Salsa Madison, how dare you? Okay. I don't know how to sing salsa. I also don't speak Spanish, so it's like oh my God. Well, there's this other thing, knee blockable, about Ozempic where people in the Maha and the health influencer space, people in the Maha and health influencer space, and that guy who's trying to extend his life and he looks so sickly, but he's trying to live for like 200 years. They talk about Ozempic as being, if you take Ozempic as a non-overweight person, that it does something like if you have like a 95th percentile of some health indicator, that it makes you like in the 96th percentile, and that it's worth to take Ozempic for the rest of your life at a low dose. I know people who do this. So how can you, if you are a follower and a diehard lover of the program, how can you, if people who watch the program are not going to go to Twitch and follow, how can you help get people to go to Twitch and follow? I'm desperate. I'm desperate because I literally just need 50 followers on Twitch. And then I can be called something called an affiliate, and then I could maybe complain less, and I could get subscribers because you have to hit these benchmarks. So I don't understand why the Substack community will refuse to do it, but I love you anyway, and so let's move on. So we're going to sing a salsa song, and this is going to go very poorly. I do not think it will be able to be edited into a piece of content for our social media, and it is a song about how... What the hell? It is a song about how we don't have time to litigate every deportation. It's not even deportation, though. Okay. All right, we'll give it a shot. Here we go. Okay, I don't want to do this. I am embracing my fear. Hey, Ninja Tucker, yes. That's what we're talking about, Ninja Tucker. Ninja Tucker, thank you so much. I don't know who you are. I don't know if you came from Substack, but we were begging for people to follow, and so we are appreciative of you, Ninja Tucker. We love you. You are a beautiful and amazing person. You are a rock star. How will you love people today? How will you all tell people that you love people today? So here we go. We are singing a song based on the suggestion that they do not have time to litigate the putting of people in prison camps. Hey, Shelly, you did it. Yes, that is awesome. I complained and I got 2 new followers, and I'm so grateful, Shelly. You are a loved, beautiful human being. Shelly, you are a rock star. You are so good at making salsa. So same with you, Ninja Tucker. You are incredible at picking out the right sticker to put on the right notebook. And Shelly, you are so good at looking at a lawn and knowing what kind of product needs to be applied to it to make it lush. You also, Shelly and Ninja Tucker, hell yeah, Shelly. And you also, both of you, are incredible at knowing, just with your eyeball, not even taking it out, knowing when the pasta is just perfectly that one step past al dente. Because honestly, let's be honest, al dente is a little too... Al dente is really just a phrase that Nona's made up when they just didn't do the best job cooking the pasta. They took it out too early. Okay, is RevDo stalling from doing this song? 100%. So the song is basically, I'm trying to figure out a chorus. I'm trying to do the opposite of improvising because I'm just going to not get it while I'm doing it live. But it's basically, okay, people are being sent to prison labor camps and we don't have time for due process. Here we go. No time for due process. You gotta go to prison for life. No time for due process. You gotta go to prison for life. You may be a Maryland man with a couple U.S. kids and a wife, but there's no time for due process, cause you gotta go to prison for life. They say that you must be a U.S. citizen to get any kind of due process in this land. But that's a purposeful misreading of the Constitution, because the Constitution says that it's the right of every person. No time for due process, you gotta go to prison for life. No time for due process, you gotta go to prison for life. Breakdown. You can eat gruel in a room with 40 men. Don't have a mattress, don't have a friend. You're gonna have to do what they tell you to do. You're gonna have to be in jail for the rest of your life. And we don't give a shit about you, because we are fake Christians. We are so fake and Christian. We believe that Jesus said to welcome the stranger, and we heard it wrong. This is so funky. Almost as funky as the idea of being sent to a foreign prison for life just because you sought a better life. Hey Christians, can we check in with you? Why do you think it's cool to ruin people's lives forever? Okay, look, we did it. I don't know what the hell happened in the halfway through that song. It's called salsa funky music. And so I guess what they did is they started with salsa and then they went with funky. Let's do one more song. Look, it's 11:30. We got 2 followers. We're going to reward Ninja Tucker and the community in general. So, Kara Hoffman, do you want to come? Gwendolyn Berry, do you want to get on twitch.tv/Public Enlightenment and become a follower? It would really help your old friend Deuce. It was too funky, honestly. So let's do one more song real quick. It's 11:30. Rev Deuce has been doing this for way too long. He's got other stuff to do. He's got to make tight videos. Speaking of tight videos, Rev Deuce would absolutely love it, Bobove it, if you went to publicenlightenment.com. You shared all this information with how to get healthy information in the world. And Rev Deuce would really love it if you went to Shorts on your phone. Go to Shorts on your phone. He doesn't know where to find this video because it doesn't come up in videos, but here it comes up in Shorts.
If you know more facts about the world,
video.
you voted for Kamala Harris. If you knew less facts...
It's 21 seconds, all right? Rev Deuce is making it so easy for everybody. Oh, I think I'm getting sick. Now listen, okay, let's do one more song. We need the suggestion from you, Kara Hoffman, and then go watch that video and send it to 70,000 people that you know, okay? All right, the goal of today is to get 70,000 Twitch followers, all right? And it starts with you now. Now, here we go. We're going to do one more song. We need a genre stat. Hey, Hallie Brindell, you joined at a perfect time. We're going to improvise a song based on the suggestion of a culture war bullshit idea that originates from the right wing in this country by the psychological arms dealers in the information war against all of our brains. So we're talking DEI, CRT, famously stuff like this that leads to this, okay? Okay, we need the suggestion of a culture war bullshit idea that leads to stuff like this, okay?
What's the most important issue in the governor's race here in Virginia?
Getting back to the basics of teaching children, not teaching them critical race theory.
And what is critical race theory?
Well, I'm not going to get into the specifics of it because I don't understand it that much, but it's something that I don't... What little bit that I know,
Chris
I don't
Rufo
care
generated this
and
idea.
And what have you heard that you don't?
Well,
that you don't like?
I'm not gonna. I don't have that much knowledge on it, but it's something that I don't care for.
Okay? Now, we know that Christopher Rufo just creates this stuff, and he brags about it. Christopher Rufo launched the critical race theory panic. He isn't done, okay? This is a culture war bullshit. Psychological arms dealers create this stuff for us. So do you have one? In the past, we've done Tesla terrorism. Right? In the past, we've done the idea that that men are going to go through transition surgeries in order to attack women in bathrooms, right? That the IRS is coming for the middle class, right? These ideas that are floated out there and become gospel to our MAGA loved ones, friends, neighbors, colleagues who are being turned against us in an information war. So Tammy and Hallie, do you have any ideas? We're waiting for your ideas, darlings. We're waiting for your ideas. The suggestion of the genre is folk. We're going to sing one more song, and then Rev Deuce is going to lie down, face down in his bed for an hour because he doesn't feel well. So here we go. Let's go. Come on. We're waiting. We are waiting. We're waiting. We're waiting, and we're waiting. We're waiting, and we're waiting, and we're waiting, and we're waiting. Does this have lyrics? This is like modern folk. Okay, we're gonna do this one. We're gonna do this one. We're going to do this like modern, just little chill song. I know you said folk. Who was that? Mom Ro? Mom Ro, this is our interpretation of folk today. Hey, welcome to these 8 viewers. Thank you so much for being in here. We've got some other viewers on Substack. We want you to follow and like and subscribe. We're going to improvise a song based upon the culture war bullshit idea that it's the colleges that are indoctrinating people and not Charlie Kirk. And of course, we want to invite you to go to publicenlightenment.com where you can 8 viewers where you can thank read you so much for being our article about Charlie Kirk. We also made a video on YouTube that has like 18 views, so we need you to go there on a Public Enlightenment YouTube. So check out this article, Charlie Kirk is a Billionaire PSYOP. Thank you for the suggestion, David. You knew that I would like that one. Well, hold that one in your back pocket, Madison. Here we go. We are improvising a song based on the suggestion of the culture war bullshit idea that, you know, Charlie Kirk has been paid by billionaires ever since 2012 to destroy education. We detail it in that article. Here we go. Campus across this land, they're brainwashing every boy, every man. Yes, that's right. The children who go to study specific topics, those topics aren't taught. Instead, in your economics class, your professor is going to unfurl a communist flag, and he's gonna talk to you about communism all day long. You go to University of New Hampshire to study nursing, but they don't teach you nursing. No, they cancel all your classes, and they just chant about freeing Palestine. Who really has the agenda of brainwashing America's youth? Is it college professors? No. The real brainwasher is the man who has millions of dollars given to him by billionaires who go. They say, Charlie, go to every college campus on the world and give them all a speech from a tailgate tent. Oh, Charlie, tell them that you're not the one brainwashing them while you shout from a microphone under a tailgate tent. Oh, Charlie, tell the children that you're not the one brainwashing them as you spend all your days shouting at them and lying about DEI. Oh, Charlie's favorite lie is to tell the children that black pilots are hired without qualifying. And so the real indoctrinator is not the college professor. No, it is the 31-year-old man with the microphone. The real brainwasher is the 31-year-old man with a microphone and a limitless budget from billionaires who hate anything other than the capitalist agenda that allows them to pollute the planet and take. So if you see a college professor, give them a handshake and a hug, because they probably just want to teach nursing to the students in their nursing class. But Charlie Kirk is telling the kids with pamphlets that he literally disseminates, this is how you argue with your liberal college professor who just wants you to graduate and get a job in economics because that's what you went to college to study. Thank you so much. Okay, we did it. That was a fun one. I like that. We're going to actually save that track. And so, Tammy and Cynthia DeMarco, if you would be so kind as to reward me for that beautiful song I just did by please putting your energy into supporting me by going to Twitch right now, twitch.tv/Public Enlightenment, and just giving a follow over there. Randy S. Eisenberg, you just missed us singing a song about Charlie Kirk and how he is brainwashing America's youth while telling them that they are being brainwashed, while on a tour called You're Being Brainwashed. He literally sits in front of a sign with billionaires sitting next to him like Vivek Ramaswamy and tells the children of America that they're being brainwashed, but not by him, not by a man who drags a tailgate tent around the country on behalf of fossil fuel billionaires. And so if you agree with our sentiment here, we want you to go and read Charlie Kirk is a Billionaire AstroTurf. You know what? I should add the YouTube video next to him like Vivek Ramaswamy. Okay, Rev Deuce is super tired. I love you. You love me. We are a global family. We are growing this program every single day. This is the Mega Church of Joy, where we reject lies and we worship facts. That's right. We reject lies and we worship facts in the face of fear-based dickheads who are feeling extremely inadequate about themselves and their lives, and the fact that they have billions of dollars is still never enough for them. And so they perpetuate a program of fear and hatred and of division and keep us from pushing back against their program by miring us all in their same bullshit, by tuning the algorithms and the headlines to divide us. And so we want to say to our MAGA loved ones and neighbors and friends, they are destroying our connection. And the Mega Church of Joy is all about human connection. And we can't have human connection if we believe people who go onto TV shows in the 2000 teens and say that they are delivering alternative facts. We're not telling you to trust mainstream media or the government, but guess what? In the 1960s, American consensus was that the government had a positive role to play in society. And guess who hated that? Rich, dickhead, white billionaires. Why do I signal out white billionaires? Because you've been told that there's no such thing as racism left in America. Well, I tell you that because it is a racist program. The moral majority was formed out of racism because they were being told by the government that they couldn't segregate their schools anymore. And guess what? They didn't like that. And so then they got smart, and they got smart people who said, okay, look, we can't say outright that we hate black people anymore. So what we have to do is we have to talk about states' rights. And what we have to do is we have to talk about economic programs that everybody in the country at the time know would hurt minorities and people of color more than the white people. Okay, and that's what happened when you were little kids, or even before you were little kids, okay? I was born in 1980. That's the program that started happening. And they started to do two things. They started to fight for corporations and the billionaires, and they started to perpetuate with dog whistles their racist program. And it's still happening today. There are people who are alive today who lived in a time where there was drinking fountains for one race of people and drinking fountains for everyone else. Okay? Do we understand that? Do we realize that? Okay, so we are pushing back against this bullshit fake reality that has been created by right-wing billionaires since at least the 1980s. All right, thank you, Emma, for watching. and for dealing with it when Rev Deuce gently pushes back on separating the art from the artist. And we can all have our own ideas. But the main idea that we all want to have in this tub of joy is the reality that we are being divided and manipulated by giant dickheads who increasingly live in the sky, if you want to think about it that way. At all times, your brain is being flown around by a bald eagle. And you take out your phone, and every single time you're on your phone, on the other side is Vladimir Putin and Elon Musk just waiting to flood your zone with shit. And the techno-fascist billionaires and the Christian nationalist billionaires, it's all a program against all of us, okay? So MAGA, non-MAGA, you need to realize there's no nuance anymore. And I get too many MAGA folks who come into my streams and come into my space and they say, well, what about Joe Biden or what about the MSDNC? Well, listen, stay here, talk to me. I want to talk to you about it because I know everything that's going on when it comes to our information ecosystem, or at least a lot of it, and I want to share it with you, and I want to get you healthy, fact-based information that aligns with democracy so that we can thwart Steve Bannon, and so that I can start this religion in such a way that it's so impactful that then in 100 years these paintings start to be painted and people say, we remember the time when Rev Deuce fixed the world. We remember the time when Rev Deuce recognized that the newsstands were telling people to consume and to give up. This stuff is incredible. Right? Rev Deuce looked out at the world. He saw the news and information saying conform, give up, and consume in the face of another sources of information that was right-wing disinformation and manipulation. And so Rev Deuce fought back against people like Steve Bannon by bringing fact orbs across the nation in the face of people like Steve Bannon who wanted to flood the zone with shit. But Steve Bannon was powerful, and he fought back against Rev Deuce. And Rev Deuce had a very small audience until he had a huge audience, and then he took on Steve Bannon across the astral plane of the American brain. Steve Bannon chasing us down at all time, hectoring us with his poop. What a freak. I'm trying to see if I have any more of these. I don't. And so what are we doing in this world? Are we letting our MAGA friends and loved ones and neighbors continue to suck down the media diet equivalent of dog shit and broken glass milkshakes? Or are we going to fight not just for our own reality, but for their reality? We fight for reality by bringing them back to reality, yes and so we want everybody to spend time with us every single morning, 9 to 11 a.m. until such a time as we change the time of the show, because that's what the algorithms tell us to do so that we can reach more people. And so what we do here is we worship facts. In a time when the powerful people of the world tune the algorithms and create AI bot farms in order to divide us. Blockable told us that the prom before theirs was the last segregated prom in Georgia. Blockable remembers a time and understands that the GI Bill did not apply to Black Americans, that we did not even become a democracy in any real sense until 1965 and the passage of the Voting Rights Act. That we are a nascent democracy that has been taken over by segregationists and racists and radical religious zealots with lots of money and the ability to create heritage foundation after heritage foundation. A 1995 study showed that references to right-wing think tanks and their bullshit program of manipulating public discourse outnumbered references to any other kind of think tank in major news reporting by a factor of 8 to 1, and that is representative and the result of a purposeful strategy by them to flood the zone with shit. Make America Great Again was Roger Stone's idea in the 1980s with Ronald Reagan. Holy shit, what? Knee blockable? Knee blockable is the same age as me and was allowed to have a segregated prom in Georgia in 2002? So we all understand in this space with information and knowledge like that the world is not what they are telling us it is, not in the pacifying mainstream and certainly not in the radicalizing right stream. And so how will you be a fact warrior today? And how will you tell people you love them today? And how will you lift up peace, harmony, joy, and connection? Until next time, this is your old pal Rev Deuce saying, I love you, you love me, we are an intergalactic family. Follow the fear. Reject lies and worship facts.